What's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Sorry, simultaneously, I am eagerly glued to my phone because my boyfriend arrives from the airport in about 5 hours, but he also has to go through immigration in Cali, so we're kind of communicating still. But I got to get this done because once he gets back, I want dinner to be ready. Anyway, we are back today with another story time for you guys. The roller coaster of a tale that I am about to tell. Get your tea and get comfy. But first, like I just mentioned, my boyfriend is coming home to meet my family for Christmas. Never met them before. We've been dating for over a year now, so it seems about right. And I'm gonna be vlogging it, you know, to the limit of what he is comfortable with, obviously. So it's gonna be a little bit more censored on YouTube, but uncensored on Patreon because I explained all the reasons in the video I just uploaded a few days ago on YouTube. I just wanna do what he's comfortable with and I don't wanna pressure him. So my Patreon link will be below in the description if you wanna check that out. If not, there's gonna be a more censored version of it on YouTube, so you won't see him, but you'll see what happens still. So for today's story time, oh my God, we got Jasmine from Aladdin. She's a typical expat in Korea teaching English. And when she first got to Korea though, she had to warm up to the idea of wanting to date in Korea because she has it in her mind. She was so convinced that Korean guys don't like foreign women. Her main focus was teaching abroad. She always wanted to teach abroad. And the reason she chose Korea is because they pay for your apartment. It's a safe country. It's relatively affordable, pretty affordable, especially compared to what we're used to paying in the West. So check, 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 and check. Everything was going great, smoothly at first, as it often does. But you know, after about that 1 year mark, she started to feel like something was missing. She started to feel lonely. She wanted to have someone to cuddle with, spend rainy days together, date nights, all of that stuff. And especially with so many couples out at night. So like in Korea, Christmas, for example, 'tis the season, is, you know, a couple holiday. You know, West, you might be more used to it being like for family and gathering with your kids and your parents and your great grandparents and distant relatives and aunts and uncles and cousins. But in Korea, it's for couples primarily. I think a lot of East Asian countries are like that. So when you're abroad and you don't have your family, it's especially hard. I can speak on this. So she did what we all do. She went to Tinder. But after a while, once Jasmine was hit with the, do you live alone? Maybe sex tonight. Can I go to your home? You come to mine now. Love motel, DVD bong, all those types of messages. So yeah, not only was she getting so many messages that were just straight up sexual and suggestive in nature, which she was not looking for. She was looking for something genuine, some cuddles, some rainy nights and dates, and someone to spend time with for more than just her body. Not only that though, she also saw that in a lot of these profiles, they had the description that said no foreigner, Korean girl only, 한국 사람만, like no foreigners. And that kind of backed up her theory. She's like, see, I told you, they only want our bodies, they don't want our hearts. What's that Ray lyric in Flip a Switch? 4 days away, at his arms I invest. He won't take my heart, but he'll take off my dress. Excuses rehearsed, I am blue, I am red. Fuck looking for love. I'ma stay doing what us bitches do best. Flip a switch on a prick. And do y'all know that song? Ray is an extremely underrated artist. I love her. Anyway, after all that, she decided Tinder ain't it. Tinder is not for me. She kept the app, but she didn't check it anymore. It was kind of one of those things. She's like, oh, at the very least, I can promote my Instagram. So last Christmas, which is another reason why this is like the perfect time to share this story time with y'all. It's Christmas time. Her coworker invited her to a Christmas party in Hongdae. She was all for that. She was looking forward to not spending this Christmas alone like she did the previous Christmas in Korea. Spend it with her friends because she's from Toronto. She was like, I'm not going all the way back to Toronto. So she wanted to stay in Korea again. You don't have enough time. Your Christmas holiday is not long enough to go all the way home. And it's really unfortunate. But she was looking forward to being able to spend Christmas with her friends. She felt like this was just what she needed. So they got ready at her friend's place and they decided to make it like a sleepover. So they said, quote, you don't have to stumble home alone and drunk. So when they got ready, they decided to wear like matching Santa dresses, kind of like in Mean Girls, and they headed to the club. So right now it's Jasmine and like 2 other friends, but they're scheduled to meet like 2 more people at the party. So they get inside and they're offered shots. Everybody's drinking, everybody's dancing. There's Christmas music, there's sparklers, like all I want for Christmas. It's a very cute Christmassy vibe. So they weren't there for that long when one of Jasmine's friends pointed out the fact that there's this boy over there that keeps staring at her. So Jasmine, having had a few drinks, decides, I'm going to go approach. And before her friends could pull her back, she was gone. For the sake of the story, we'll call this guy Shiyun. So Jasmine first asked Shiyun if he could speak English. He said, a little, a bit, yes. And then she said, is everything okay? Like, what are you looking at? And he said everything was completely fine. He's sorry, but he was trying to figure out where he knows her from. And Jasmine was like, okay. Well, corny, cheesy pickup line. Because, you know, that's usually followed by, I feel like you've been running around my mind, or I see you running through my dreams and stuff like that. So she thought that's where this was going. But he was serious. He actually knew her from somewhere. We're going to get into that a little bit. So they introduced themselves. She's like, I'm here with my friends here. He's like, oh, cool. I'm here with my boys here. So then Shiyun decided, hey, let's all have a shot together. My treat. And it's funny because Jasmine asked for the one with the whipped cream. She doesn't remember the name of the shot, but she wanted a shot that has some whipped cream in it. She got her shot with the whipped cream in it. She can't remember the name, but she felt she wanted that detail known. So Shiyun is with 2 of his boys, and Jasmine is with about 4 of her girls, and they all just merged together after having these shots and became like a super group. But before she knew it, she was making out with Shiyun, and she does not remember this. She said this is what her friends told her what happened. She does not remember making out with this boy. So you can imagine though that she was really confused when suddenly he was off talking with other women. Now that part she remembers because she was upset that he was off talking with another girl so suddenly. She does not remember the kiss, but her friends all swear that that happened. So she decided to try and disregard him for the rest of the night, go back to her friends, and his 2 friends were like really cool, so they were welcomed to the group with open arms. And his friends were even apologizing on his behalf, saying, "We didn't raise him to be like this, we're so sorry." And because the boys were so much cooler than Shiyun was, everybody wanted to exchange contact information with the boys. So they're like, yo, let's get your cacao. We need to meet up again. Y'all are cool as fuck. Nobody wanted Shiyun's info though. Nobody asked for his number. Nobody asked for his cacao or his Instagram, nothing. And every time she did like glance back over at him, she saw that he was fraternizing with other girls. So she was like, whatever, waste of time, fucker. So this Christmas in Hongdae came and went. She had such good memories, core memories. So happy she wasn't spending it alone. She was with her friends, had a lot of fun, made some new friends. Good vibes. So a few days goes by and suddenly one of Shiyun's friends hits up Jasmine saying, "Hey, our boy Shiyun wants your cacao. Is it okay if I give it to him?" She's like, "Why? What about all these other girls he was talking to?" They say they don't know. He just regrets not getting her cacao and said, "Hey, do you think you can ask her if it's cool?" So they're just the messenger, like, don't get mad at them. So she's like, "I mean, I guess. I don't know what the harm is. I can ignore him if I need to." And before she could put her phone down, she got a notification and it was a message that says, "Hi, I'm Shiyun. Remember me?" So she says yes, just a 1-word short answer. He asked when she would be free again. She's like, "Free for what?" He says he wants to come and hang out again soon, get everybody back together again. So she's like, okay, well, if we're all gonna be friends and if the other 2 homies are coming, you're invited as well. We can all make this like one big thing. So she did tell him that they had plans to go to a New Year's party at like a hotel in the lobby. It was like a planned event. Yeah, Jasmine's friends really liked Shiyun's friends. They were funny, they were good, they were kind, just good bubbly energy. Like, of course they're invited. And she said it's kind of funny looking back now because if his friends weren't so cool, then she wouldn't have her daughter right now. But I'm getting ahead of myself. More on that soon. So New Year's Eve comes before they realize it, and they were out clubbing at the hotel lobby. It's like a planned New Year's Eve party. Fancy, like, ball themed event. She says it was like a bit Gatsby-ish. Shiyun and the boys had on suits. They looked really good, totally different from how they looked in Hongdae. And they all decided to get rooms at the hotel because, like, you might as well, it's right there. And they said they wouldn't have to worry about being out in bad weather or if it's cold or can't get a taxi because everybody's trying to leave or having to wait till the trains run. They said, let's just go. That way, once the party's over, we can go right upstairs. And the girls were particularly excited about this because they wanted to be able to wear whatever painful heel they wanted to, knowing they could just go right upstairs and change. They didn't have to struggle on the pavement in the street with the little T-Rex arms because their feet hurt. Plus, it'd be fun to go upstairs pre-party, have all your soju, then go downstairs and get drunk without having to pay for those drinks at the bar. So they got 2 rooms, one for the girls, one for the guys. And y'all, the party was a vibe. They had special guest DJs, special guest dancers. They even had like different rooms with different themes of music. So like an EDM, a hip hop, an 80s, R&B, pop, K-pop, things like that. Different rooms for different vibes. So as the night progressed, Jasmine noticed that Shiyun could not simply take his eyes off of her. And she's like, you know, I know I look good in this dress with these heels and with my little updo, but like, bro was being obvious about it. This time, he was all about her. He wasn't off fraternizing and talking with other girls. He was like right by her side like glue. And even when other guys tried to talk to Jasmine, he would kind of stand right up next to her with his arm around her waist like claiming her. And she didn't mind because she wasn't too worried about it. They drank a lot that night and she didn't even realize that after they counted down from midnight, she lost her friends and she was with Shiyun like the whole time, just him. They danced, drank, talked a bit, drank.
Pass out.
Drank.
Wake up.
Drank.
Faded.
Drank.
Faded.
So after spending so much time in public together, eventually they wanted to spend some time together in private. A wink. They decided to go to his room because he figured that the 2 guys would be less likely to come back as quick as like a group of girls who might be like, my feet hurt, I'm tired, I want to change. So they said their odds would probably be better going at his room. So because this is on YouTube, I can't say so much about what happened in that room. Unlike on Patreon where I can say whatever I want, no censorship, link in the description. But this is the YouTube friendly version. So they get to the room and they scramble to find protection. He wasn't planning on getting any that night, so he didn't have any. And it's late on New Year's, so they don't know where they're gonna find some. 3 boys in one room though, surely at least one of y'all brought some protection. Jackpot. So this is very important to remember because they did indeed use protection. So anyway, they start to get busy, a little foreplay and making out and stuff, but it was awkward because at first Shiyun had drank too much to perform. But eventually after some effort, they got everything working accordingly again. So they're in the middle of boom boom in the room and they get a knock at the door. They chose to ignore it at first. So they keep making boom boom sounds because that's what they're doing in the room. And the knocks did stop after a while. But then once the knocking started again, they figured it was probably the boys like trying to get back in their room without just straight up walking in. And it was even the knocks at the door were even accompanied by like fake moaning sounds, like implying like, oh my god, like they're just being silly drunk friends, right? So they knew the boys needed to get back in, so they said, we gotta wrap this up. So they started to get a little sloppy, trying to finish quickly. They finally came to conclusions. And there was some spillage because they kind of hurried things along. Nothing to worry about, or so they thought at the time. So in the next few weeks, they would get together every now and then, bowling, dinner, movies, VR cafe. But Jasmine started to notice some things were off. There were some changes. Something didn't feel right. She started noticing that she felt more tired. Why am I so tired all the time? She also noticed that her boobs were sore and a little bit tender to the touch. The friction from her bra and her shirt, she was uncomfortable. She also felt like they were a little bit bigger. Boobs. She noticed random bouts of nausea throughout the day, and then she missed her period. Uh-oh. She's like, nah, but we used a condom, like that's crazy, right? And it was one time, ain't no way. So she chose denial until she woke up feeling like she needed to throw up. Once that happened a few times, she decided to go to a pharmacy, get some pregnancy tests, and yes, it came back positive. Keep in mind though, she's not dating Shiyun right now. It's not quite like that. They're friends who happen to have sex on New Year's, one time, and now they're pregnant. She's wondering what to do next. She's wondering how to tell him. They met in the club. Like she didn't have the best, she wasn't the most optimistic about how he would receive the news. She's like, this is not gonna go well. We used the condom. He's not gonna believe me. He's gonna blame it on somebody else. And she's like, but there hasn't been anyone for so long. And that was part of the reason she decided to sleep with him on New Year's, because she hasn't had any in so long. So the only thing she could think to do was just invite him over and tell him face to face in person. So that's what she did. And at first she was weirded out by this because he had never been invited to her apartment at all before. So initially he's thinking like, oh, she wants seconds. She trying to get me to her crib. So he came over with post haste. So she sat him down and she's like, hey, how you been? You know, you've been good. Everything been good. How's your New Year going so far? You know, after a bit of small talk, she just cuts right to the chase and she's like, do you remember, you know, New Year's, what happened between us? And at this point, he's probably definitely thinking, oh, she really wants some more, huh? She want to do that again. She wanted the sequel. So he says, of course I remember. So she wanted to ask him if everything was all right with the condom. Like, did it break? Did it fall off? Was it not fitting properly? Like, was that all normal on your end? He's like, no, it didn't tear. It didn't fall off or anything like that. He's like, but pulling it out, it did seem like there's a little bit of spillage, and that's when she froze. And when she froze, he knew something was up. He's like, wait, this ain't about like a hookup. You don't want to do that again. What happened? What's wrong? He probably thought he was about to get some booty. She started to get teary-eyed because she was like, oh my God, it spilled. But she was trying to keep as straight a face as possible as she told him that she was pregnant. But all she can do is show him the positive test. You know, he's staring at it for a little bit, and then he's like, oh, and he realizes what's happening. And she was surprised because the first thing he said was he's sorry that he wasn't more careful with the condom, and he also wanted to ask her how she felt about it. Like, that was his initial response. She thought he was gonna leave and get defensive and be like, that ain't mine. We use a girl, I don't know what you talk about. She's like, I don't know how to feel about this. This is so sudden. I'm so young. Like, what do you think about this? But he also did remind her that abortion is legal in Korea, and she was actually relieved to know that. She wasn't gonna have to go all the way to Toronto. That's what they decided, to take care of this. So she was like, okay, I can stay here and get it done here. That's a relief, at least. So he stayed over for that night, and they talked about what their options would be, weighed out the pros and the cons. And after a while, they kind of found themselves just talking and getting to know each other, like way more seriously. And this is when he revealed that the reason he knew her that first night in Hongdae was because they matched on Tinder before. They were actually talking for a little bit, but she unmatched him when she saw what it said in his bio. It said something like, you can find me in Hongdae day or night. I'm looking for a fun night with a sexy girl or something like that. And at first when she saw that, she's like, oh, this is the definition of a fuckboy, like no thanks, and she unmatched him. So then when they meet in the club, indeed in Hongdae, she didn't remember that at all, because she had talked to got so many matches from people just trying to hook up. They all get lumped together, but he remembered her. So yeah, with all this talking, he was skeptical at first, because he's like, we did use a condom, but he also remembers how much of his fluid came out. And he's like, some of it probably came out inside as well. So after talking about it with their families and with each other, they decided to have the baby. And her parents told her that they can support her like while she's not able to work full time, because it's hard to do that when you're pregnant and in a foreign country. And they also said that they want her to stay with the father, like stay there, so that like don't have the baby in Canada, because that'll complicate things for him coming to see the kid. But if you have it there, then it just makes it easier for the father side to be involved. So do it that way. Have the baby in Korea, not Canada. And his parents was encouraging them to get married, but they both decided that is not what they wanted. That's not what this was. If anything, they started off like, okay, we're gonna co-parent as best as we can. Getting married for the sake of a baby, it very rarely works out. So they knew they didn't want to try that just for a baby. Like if sparks fly later, sure, but not just because they're expecting. And what's crazy is the more they started to plan and prepare for the baby, the more time they spent together, the more they decided to start just dating, like actually properly dating. And he spent a lot of time at her apartment. Like he spent some nights, and the nights he wasn't able to spend the night, he would pop up throughout the day. Naturally, his parents were thrilled when he found out that they started to actually date, because they're like, marriage is next. And it's funny because they kept saying they knew it would happen that way, but typically when young people have a baby, that kind of complicates things. And if anything, a lot of them end up breaking up because it's too much. It just an added extra layer of complexity. And she just finds it so funny because they met in the club. Well, technically they met on Tinder first, but they personally met in the club. And for him to be such a present father, she did not expect that whatsoever. So as of now, their daughter is only about 3 months old. And she did say she thinks that the fact that his parents provide him with like financial support so he doesn't have to work full time right now makes it a lot easier for him to be present and be there. So they're both in a situation where both of their parents are kind of helping them, like cushioning this baby into the world, which is very nice, because once they have to start, working more full time as the baby gets older, she knows it's going to be a lot more difficult. That's one of her concerns at the end of the email. What's cute though is his parents come over to see the baby a lot. He has the playful uncles, the playful aunties, her friends and his friends. She also wanted me to mention that her daughter is a Virgo, because she knows how much I like Virgo. She was like, yeah, let's just say my baby's birthday is around Zendaya and Jungkook's, so that's cool. Virgos for the win. And the cool thing is her family is planning to help her fly out to Toronto when the baby's a little bit older, so they can see her finally, because all they've seen is like pictures and videos up to this point. She says, so far so great. Who would have thought that like a Hongdae club fuckboy would be like a good dad who's like making effort, coming over every day, spending the night, so the burden isn't just on her, and they're actually dating now and trying to make a relationship work. You love to see this just in time for Christmas. She did say every now and then they sit back and kind of reminisce on their carefree young adult nights out in the club. And I do think it's really sad, because like he's doing what he should do. He's doing what he's supposed to do, which is great. But like the fact that this has to be praised because it's not as common as it should be. I just got back to the States and my stepdad was showing me this Chris Rock stand-up, because Chris Rock was saying how he's annoyed when men brag about doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like, I take care of my kids. He's like, yeah, you supposed to. I got a job. Good for you. You're an adult. You're supposed to do that. And it's sad that like we see stuff like this so often in society, where like women are expected to take care of their babies, but when a man does it, you're like, oh, good for you. You're a good one. You're one of the good ones. It should just be the norm. It should be expected from both parents. Anyway, that's not what this is about. I just like to see that this so far has a happy ending. I know she'll be relieved when she can finally take her baby home to meet her family, because so far it's only been Shiyun and his family that's been able to be around their child. So she's like, oh, so far it's a bit of a one-sided thing, but she fully understands why her parents say you should have the baby there instead of here. It just makes it easier for them. We can go over there. We don't know what their situation is. So anyway, this was a little nice Christmassy, clubby, Hongdae New Year's Eve hookup that turned into a baby that became a really great story. So I hope you guys like this one. What's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So you see the title, and the reason she wanted to share this with you is because of a woman named Courtney. She has a YouTube channel called Courtney the Enthusiast, and she has been very vocal about her struggles with her Korean husband and trying to gain the right to see their son again. And this email literally starts off with, I was inspired by Courtney to share my story. And I had no idea all of this was going down. The past month I've been home in the States with my family, and we were just on vacation. I literally had no Wi-Fi, so I started to see a few comments talk about a horrible DV situation in Korea and a girl named Courtney, and I didn't know what they were talking about until someone explained it to me in the comments. So thank you for that, because I was able to watch another video about her story. I believe I'll link it below if you guys want to hear more about Courtney's story, or even Courtney the Enthusiast. I'll link her channel so you can hear her updates and stuff. I do want to say, if you guys want something that's a little more positive, then I encourage you to check out my Patreon. I just did a story about a girl who had a threesome in Korea to get over a recent breakup, and she thought that would be a one-off situation, so we shared that story a few days ago, but she also emailed me with an update and things are going great. She thought he was just gonna be a rebound, but they're actually getting to being more serious. Yeah, Patreon's a lot more NSFW. I can't put on YouTube because of ad restrictions, and the topics of those videos tend to be quite sexual. I had a threesome in Korea. I literally had not gone out or socialized since we broke up, but this one man, he looked like a painting, a Renaissance classic. He was tall like I like, and he had gorgeous curly hair, and he had his shirt off. And because there were mirrors everywhere, my friends were able to warn me that he was walking over towards us and I wasn't ready. Then, one of my friends said out loud, "The best way to get over a guy is to get under another one." So I assume my other friend translated the phrase in Korean for them, because they had a moment of realization. They laughed and went, "Ah!" He said he can be that new guy, but if I really want to feel better, why not pick them both? But this is when it really hit me that I'm alone with two grown men. This is intimidating, and we're naked. So yeah, let's just jump right into this one. She wants to be referred to as Anna because, like in Frozen, Anna fell for Hans because Hans was perfect at first. He was a Prince Charming at first, and everything just seemed too good to be true. Yeah, she fell for him hard and fast, but unfortunately, she said he turned out to be the villain. So Anna moved to Korea all alone with the dreams of being an English teacher. Because she was alone, she was very eager to make her own friends and establish her own roots in South Korea. And she knew she was ready for the long haul. Like, she moved there with every intention of living in Korea, like, permanently. And making friends is easy for her because she's a very social person, a social butterfly, the life of the party. She has a dominant personality type, and she said it's really easy for her to connect with strangers. And because she was about to go to Korea, she wanted to make sure she knew her MBTI, the 16 personality types. And she likes hers because she has the same as Mingyu from 17. I learned mine in like 2016. I was INFJ then, now I'm INFP. Do you guys know yours? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, she's an ENTJ, and she's very proud of that because Mingyu from 17 is also an ENTJ. She's the commander personality type.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
And she said thinking of how she was before she met him just made her realize how far she had fallen, the empty shell of a person she became. Like, she didn't recognize herself at all. Anyway, Anna lived in a small town in the Gyeonggi province, so she wasn't far from Seoul, but she wasn't in Seoul. But because of her close proximity to Seoul, she did spend a lot of time in Seoul. In fact, most if not all of her friends were in Seoul. They would meet up on weekends, they'd hang out together. Also, because she went to Korea as an English teacher, she didn't really make a lot of plans to learn Korean because she knows that you're not supposed to speak it at work and you're not really required to know Korean to go to Korea. But it does make your life a lot easier. She actually encourages, if you guys plan to move to Korea or visit frequently, learn Korean because it can help you avoid some of the headaches that she went through later. Like, she found herself relying on her husband for everything. And that's how he kept her dependent and needing him around. That's a common tactic in like controlling, manipulative relationships. So anyway, let's skip to when they first met. She didn't bother with dating apps because she lived in a pretty rural town, and in her opinion, where she lived, people weren't very interested in dating foreigners. A lot of them also did not speak English. And I will say, outside of the major cities in Korea, I think it is less common to find someone who speaks English, but that's how it is with, you know, pretty much any country. The city is where you see the diversity. The city is where you see lots of different types of people come together, people who are more open-minded. That's just kind of the way of the world. So she wanted to swipe in Seoul, but because she didn't live in Seoul, she kind of saw that as pointless, so she just didn't bother with the dating apps at all. So yeah, she met this guy the old-fashioned way. By the way, for this story, we're going to call him Hans, just to keep it simple. Anna, Hans, Frozen. So this was one weekend where she was staying with her friend in Seoul, because they would do that. She would pack a weekend bag, stay with her, and all her girls would get together. They'd go out cafe hopping, bowling, clubbing, drinking, dancing, shopping, movies, things like that. She always had these places she wanted to tick off as explored in Seoul. So this was one particular night where she was out with her friends and it's like 5 a.m. They're starving and looking for somewhere to eat. And that's when suddenly two guys came over to them. One was Hans and one was his friend. By the way, Hans and his friend were absolutely hammered. And she said she didn't feel scared or anything like that because she's with a group of friends and they're just two drunk guys. And the way they slurred their words and were so giggly, she found them more adorable than threatening. So they asked what the girls were doing. Like they saw most of them were foreigners, so they just approached them speaking English and asked what they were doing. So they said, we are starving, we're looking for food, but it's 5 a.m. And they said, oh my God, we know a place, like here, and show them in their phone. They said it's open 24 hours, it's nearby, it would be perfect for them. And the girls were very excited and grateful for this bit of knowledge. So they're like, why don't you guys come along with us? Let's all eat together. So Anna says she's not trying to be rude or mean or anything like that, but in that moment, she was not at all attracted to Hans. She just saw them as like two potential new friends because she is all about making friends. And it is worth noting that she had plenty of guy friends and plenty of girlfriends. Like she's never seen any problem with having friends of the gender she's attracted to. So later in the story, when you see the part where Hans gets really jealous and starts accusing her of like the worst stuff, you can see how this really had no groundings whatsoever. He was just paranoid and insecure.
You're insecure.
So yeah, they all make it to this place together. They're all excited, mouth watering, and they realize the lights are off. It is closed. It's not open right now.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
A lot of businesses in Korea do run hella late, especially to cater to like these late night crowds. So they had no problem finding another place to eat, and they all still ate together, just wasn't at this highly recommended place they initially were going to. So as they're finishing their meal and they're eating and rehydrating, they start to sober up. And they're having such a good time together that they say, yo, we should hang out tomorrow too. Like, let's just keep this going. But specifically, Hans asked Anna for her social media because he wanted to be able to get in touch with her directly. He offered to pay for her food, but she's like, oh, that's sweet, but no thanks, I'm good. So then he offered to pay for her friends and they were like, yes, thank you, I accept your offer. At this point, the girls thought these boys were so sweet, so lovely, just absolutely amazing and fun to be around. So they all finish their meals, the boys and girls head to their respective homes. Anna gets all showered and she passes out and goes to sleep. Unfortunately, she was knocked out until like 3 p.m. And when they were supposed to meet on this day, it was supposed to be for lunch. It's 3 p.m. They missed lunch. So she wakes up, realizes how late it is, checks her DMs, and she sees that she has a few from Hans. So first he said goodnight, then he said good morning, then he said did you sleep well, then he said when should we meet, and then it was just a question mark. So she apologized to him and said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but me and my friends just woke up. He was understanding about it and said, yeah, it's okay, you know, I bet you guys had a really long night. So he asked if they wanted to do dinner instead, because there's still plenty of time for dinner. So she says she doesn't want to speak for all her friends. She'll see if they're hungover, she'll see how they feel about it, and she'll get back to him. So it took a while for her friends to respond because they didn't all wake up on the dot at 3 o'clock. And in the time while she was waiting for a response from her friends, Hans sent a few more messages. He sent a question mark again, then he sent another question mark, and then he said, what's the update? Then he said sorry with a laughing emoji. So her friends did get back to her and she told him, look, they said that they do want to see you guys again, like they're down, but maybe tomorrow, maybe not tonight, because we already had plans for tonight and we're already behind schedule by just waking up now. And this is where we see Hans get a little pushy because he's like, oh, come on, you guys gotta eat. Why not just let us do it all together? We all need to eat. You need to eat. You should eat. Let's eat together. He's like, we can all go to dinner and then you girls can go and do what your plans was initially. Also, it is important to remember that Anna doesn't really like him like that. Like she just sees him as a potential friend. So she wasn't really all that pressed to want to hang out with him or see him again necessarily so soon. So she goes, how about a nice lunch tomorrow? Like she doubles down on that. He didn't reply back at all. He left the message on read. So she's like, okay, well, I guess that's that. So the girls got ready and went on about their night as usual. And to this day, Anna has no idea how what happened next happened. Hans and his friend, the same two guys they met in the wee hours of the morning, were just right there in front of them. As Anna and her friends were leaving the club, she saw Hans and his friend about to go in the club, and they're like, oh hey, small world, what are the odds? That is quite suspicious and incredibly unlikely. But again, Anna and her friends did not find them at all threatening. So they're like, wow, that is crazy. And at this point, they've had a few drinks, so they're a lot more easygoing. And just like that, the guys tagged along and the girls' night became a girls plus them night. They had fun together for what it's worth. And the guys kept buying the girls shots. They even passed by an arcade and Hans won them some stuff. He won some plushies. He won like a pop socket and like a headband. Like he started to win stuff for everybody. And this is when he really started to grow on Anna. She was like, you know, he's not that bad. He seems pretty cool, which is good timing because it was at this point that he started to make it really obvious that he liked her. He kept telling her how pretty she was, promising to teach her Korean. He would stare at her a lot, saying how great she looked in her outfit. Also keep that outfit thing in mind because, you know, when you're a young lady and you go out to the club, your outfits tend to be a bit more revealing. It is what it is. Anna was no different. She said she was wearing a pretty typical girls' night out type of villain outfit and Hans loved it on her. Even her friends were like, girl, clearly he likes you. Then Anna's like, no, I mean, he bought you guys dinner last night. He's been winning stuff for y'all too. And she's like, I think he's doing that to make you jealous. Like, clearly he likes you. He asked for your Instagram. He's been blowing you up, not us. So they all did have a good night. And they wanted to try to do the next day hangout again. They was like, hey, how about a nice picnic? Sunday afternoon, that would be absolutely perfect. And they all loved that idea. And they laughed like, oh my God, it's like a real K-drama.
You want my destiny.
So then Hans asked, because he said he's always been curious, what do girls like so much about Korean dramas? Like, even foreign girls love Korean dramas. I don't understand the hype. And the girls are like, the actors are so handsome and the plot, can't forget the plot. And the plot is usually a very handsome actor. How they're all gentlemen and they're sweet and it lets the girls escape to Delulu a little bit. And that's basically what they were saying to him. And then Hans's friend joked that he wished all girls didn't have that expectation or believe that that was real or believe that that could be real. And then they basically kind of started to have like a mini gender debate about gender roles and stuff. Anna really liked how Hans made a point to be like, we need to be more understanding and sympathetic of what women go through because we'll never know what it's like to be them. It's really challenging to have all these expectations about how you should look, what you should do, the struggles of making less money for the same job, not being protected by the law, saying how scary it is to be a girl and girls have to be careful and girls have issues that we'll never understand and issues that we never have to worry about. And it was everything Anna wanted to hear, especially from a guy. And that's why, like, the irony and audacity of this man. Because hearing him say this stuff, followed by the actions he takes down the road with Anna, it's like, you're joking, right?
I'm a fun guy.
It's really tragic that he knows exactly what to say. He knows exactly how girls want to be treated and he chose to not. And when you think about it in hindsight, part of this seems like a little bit of a ruse with him and his friend, like good friend, bad friend, like good cop, bad cop. Like you pretend to be an asshole and I'm going to swoop in and be the gentleman and make them swoon. That's what it looks like to me. That's just me. That way all the girls will be like, oh my God, Hans is so oppa. So anyway, they all get ready to head home again after another fun night out together. And Hans asked if he could hug Anna. And she said yes. And she says when they hugged, she felt this spark that she can't explain. Suddenly, she found herself with butterflies and feeling shy around him when she's so used to being like the social one, the commander, the leading personality, the life of the party. Suddenly she's at a loss for words around this boy. Even her friends noticed and it was like, girl, what the fuck just happened to you? And suddenly when she left his presence, she found herself looking forward to his DMs. Before they were kind of a bother and they were a lot. They were plentiful, they were abundant, chill. Now she's like, oh my God, is he gonna text me back soon? I can't wait. What is he gonna say next? So when he finally messaged her and said, see you tomorrow, she was elated. She was so excited. But unfortunately, she did have to tell him like she couldn't stay long because she doesn't live in Seoul and she was worried that that might be a deal breaker for him, that oh, I don't know if I can date someone or get to know someone who doesn't live in the same city as me. Sundays for her is typically like her journey back home, so she gotta get on the bus. So she had what she calls her hobo outfit, where she just had like sweatpants and a t-shirt because she was just ready for the journey home. They don't usually plan anything for the Sunday because they usually go out 2 nights and they're tired by Sunday. So to her surprise though, when they met up, he was all complimentary, like, oh my God, you look so beautiful today, and you look like you slept well, you look like an angel, like just saying everything so sweet, even though she felt like she did not look that good. So it's all of them, it's all of her friends, Hans and his friend, and while Hans was trying to get to know Anna a bit, it seems like her friends were trying to keep his friend busy, so like they had their first bit of one-on-one time together. The weather was really warm, but unfortunately it was really cloudy, so they were all joking about trying to have a picnic redo. And Anna absolutely wanted to do that because she's like, oh my God, I can get like a cute dress, like I can actually dress the part instead of looking like a hobo and y'all look all cute. So they finished their picnic, they all have fun again, and the next time she's planning to be in Seoul is in another 2 weeks or so. While she's away, her and Hans talked all the time. They texted a lot and they talked on the phone a lot. They decided to move their communication from Instagram to Kakao. Things were getting pretty serious pretty fast. Too fast, too serious. And it didn't take long before they were asking each other about ideal types, recent relationships, deal breakers, red flags, ideal dates. But one thing she said is whenever she took too long to reply to a message, and too long for him was like an hour or so, he would send a few before she could get to the one. And she always felt like he thought she was ignoring his messages, and she wanted to make sure he didn't feel that way. She's like, no, I'm so sorry, like I'm at work, or I'm so sorry I took a nap, or I'm so sorry I was in the shower, things like that. She felt pressured to reply to him really fast, and she felt really apologetic when she couldn't. So he asked her if the next time she comes to Seoul, if he can take her out on a date. And she's like, oh, I thought we already were planning to do this picnic, like it's gonna be so much fun. It's so much fun when we all hang out. He's like, no, I think I'd rather just hang out with you one-on-one, like a proper date. And she's like, oh, wow, I've never been on a date in Korea before. And she was excited and she agreed. So she had to update her friends like, hey, I know we're all supposed to meet up and have this cute little picnic, but Hans just asked me out one-on-one. And they're of course like, girl, go for it. Like, oh my God, just tell us what happens later. So they had their little picnic one-on-one. They went for a walk in the city and then they headed to the movies. She said that he was so sweet. She felt like he was actually listening to her and actually interested in getting to know her. He was very funny and she really enjoyed learning more about him. Like she was falling for him fast. And because she's in Seoul, she is staying with her friend. Like that's kind of their routine. Whenever she comes with the Seoul, she stays at her friend's. And one thing that was a little worrisome is when she left to meet him for that picnic that morning, that was the last the friend heard from her for the day. She was expecting Anna to come back to her place to go to sleep. That did not happen, and here's why. So the whole day came and went. And Anna ended up spending the night at Hans' place. Wow. And y'all, it gets even more crazy because at the end of their first date, they were officially boyfriend and girlfriend. Oh! He needs some milk! She admits it was absolutely completely rushed. But she also says part of her didn't take him too seriously because in the 2 weeks that she wasn't in Seoul, when they were texting and talking on the phone, he would always joke about, when you gonna be my girlfriend? You should be my girlfriend. 사랑해, 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 사랑해요. 안녕하세요, 사랑해. So she's like, ha ha ha, you crazy boy. So once she agreed to be his girlfriend, he asked if she could sleep over. And she agreed to that as well. And unfortunately, this whole time, she had not texted her friend, so her friend was fearing the worst. And Anna wanted to text her, but he kept saying, oh, you're grown, your friend's grown, she shouldn't worry about you, she should live her own life. Now this is a completely different side of Hans because Hans is buying them shots and winning them plushies, and now he's like, you don't gotta talk to her, don't worry about that, you're grown, you'll be fine. And he seemed upset whenever she was looking at her phone and trying to text or checking social media. And Anna said this is where the first bits of isolation began. So the next day when she finally makes it back to her friend's house, understandably she's getting dragged for filth and berated by her besties because they were worried about her. They were happy for her, but they absolutely agreed like this is way too soon. Like comically too soon. And they told her to be careful. So for the next few months, all of Anna's free time was spent with Hans. She was not seeing her friends anymore. Constant dates, and when she came up to Seoul, she would spend the night at his place instead of spending the night at her friend's place. She actually, to this point, hadn't seen them since she started dating Hans. And when a new relationship starts, at first you want to spend all your time with the partner. Like you're so excited. You can't wait to go on dates. You can't wait to sleep over. You can't wait to wake up next to them. Like you want to spend all your time with them or a lot of time with them because it's new and exciting. But whenever she mentioned missing her friends, he would say they were a bad influence.
Is this serious? Boy, if you don't get...
He said because they clubbed too much and they were unmarried. Also saying that she shouldn't hang out with guys anymore as friends because she's now in a relationship with a guy. So like that's inappropriate, that's gotta stop. I'm your boyfriend and I say you can't have guy friends. And I'm noticing a pattern here. A few months ago, we did a story on this channel about a girl she was a younger girl. She was in a relationship with an older guy that she met while clubbing, and he started to get controlling and try to change her. He was looking to settle down, he was looking to get married, and she was still young, trying to have fun and live her life. He tried changing her to what he wanted her to be instead of finding someone who already had similar immediate goals. Like find someone who wants to get married right now. Find someone who wants to have kids right now. Find someone who doesn't want to be out in the clubs right now. Don't try to find someone who doesn't want kids, doesn't want marriage, want to be clubbing and turn them to the opposite of that. Like, what's the point? Should probably try to find someone closer to your age, buddy. Just saying. By the way, I don't know how old Anna and Hans are. I mean, I'm assuming they're in like their 20s or 30s because they were out clubbing. Like, they were doing this, especially the way they talk about their routine. Like, go out Friday, go out Saturday, sleep it off Sunday, do it again next weekend. So I'm getting 20s vibes. I don't know how old they are. But yeah, when I got to the point in the email where he didn't want her hanging out with her friends and calling them bad influences because they were single and they like to go out, I was like, I'm having war flashbacks.
War. Terrible war.
I just want to remind y'all, Hans was out with them and buying them drinks. He was drunk with his friends, stumbling around at like 5 in the morning before he met these girls. They all met the very next night in a club by chance. I feel like people need to understand this. Like, if you can't trust your partner to be around single people and be faithful and loyal to you, then maybe you shouldn't be with that person. If you can't trust your partner to be around people they're attracted to and stay loyal and faithful to you, then maybe you should break up. If you don't trust your partner to live their life and exist without you, without cheating on you, then break the fuck up. I just feel like it's incredibly unreasonable to expect your partner's friends circle to change because the relationship status changed. Like, just because we're in a relationship, all our friends have to be in a relationship, or all our friends have to be married, or all our friends have to have kids. Like, that's weird. You can be married or in a committed relationship and still hang out with your friends. Trust and respect is everything. Don't try to control your partner. They're adults. Sorry. Rant over. So yeah, not only did she start seeing her friends like never, she stopped being able to see her friends, but she also had to change the way she was dressing. He wanted her to cover up more. Unlike the second night he saw her where he couldn't get enough of her outfit, he thought she looked so great in the dress she was wearing. Now he wants her to button up and be proper and prim because she's his girl now. Which, I'm sorry, I just gotta say, I'm just not a fan of a partner trying to change you. I don't like that. That gives me the ick. If someone wants to change, that change should be natural. It should happen naturally, not because you're telling me to change. She also couldn't go more than an hour without texting him unless she was a sleeper at work. That was the rule. So yeah, she had to check in. And he also wanted her to move to Seoul because he wanted them to get a place together. I can't stress this enough. They've only been together a few months at this point. And the fact that he wants them to live together, but she's never met his family, he's never even spoken to her family on the phone. You don't think this is a bit much? Living together is too soon. Take it from me, a girl who moved in with a boy. We got a place together, and I only knew him for 2 months before we did that. You can't know someone, like truly know someone that fast. That's when you fuck around and find shit out like, oh, he's married and has a daughter. Anna also says she did not want to leave because she really liked her school and she really loved her students and she didn't want to have to start over somewhere else. So let us jump ahead another 6 months into their relationship. So that's about 10 months together so far. Anna realized that she missed a period. And the moment she realized she missed it, she started to feel nauseous as well. She's like, you know what? I'll give it another month. I've missed periods before. Due to stress, life happens. 2 periods come and go. 2 menstrual cycles come and go, and she does not have her period. Now she's starting to worry. The thing is, Hans wanted intercourse all the time, and he didn't always want to wrap his kimbap. I'm trying here, it's YouTube. I'm trying to get this out there PG. If you know, you know. I mean, kimbap is kind of shaped like eggplant before it's cut, right? After Anna realized she missed 2 consecutive periods, she decided to tell her friends, like, girls, I think I'm pregnant. So they tell her, like, duh, go get a pregnancy test. Like, what are you telling us for? Go get a test. So she took the test and it came back positive.
Oh my God, this whole thing is real!
And, you know, denial is a powerful thing. So she's like, oh no, this is a cheap test, whatever. I've just been really stressed at work and my life's been changing a lot in the past few months. That's all it is. So after she spent the whole night convincing herself that she's not pregnant, she decided to go get more tests the next day. It was like, look, let me just acknowledge this head on. Denial's not gonna make this any better. So she took 4 more tests and they all came back positive.
I've been a nasty girl, nasty. I've been a nasty girl, nasty.
She didn't know how Hans would react to this news because they never talked about kids like at all whatsoever. And it is still a very new relationship, 10 months. She didn't know if he would be scared, mad, happy, encourage her to take care of it. So when she told her friends that all 5 tests came back positive, they were speechless because at this point they weren't wild about him because ever since he came into her life, they've seen her less and less and less. The only time they get to see her now is when they go to her place outside of Seoul and they have like a movie night in. She's not allowed to see them when she comes to Seoul. She just hasn't been able to go. So they ask her, like, how are you going to tell him? Like, this is a big deal. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know. I'm going to have to quit my job. I'm going to have to get a bigger place. We got to move in together. Should we get married? Like, she's thinking about all these things all at once. And her friends have the idea that you should invite him to your place and y'all should talk about it there. Do it on your terms and your grounds. She's like, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. And she agrees to their plan. So let's jump to when it's time to tell Hans he's about to be a daddy. So he comes over. Everything's normal. He's happy to see her. One thing, he was a little nitpicky about the shorts she was sleeping in. He said they were too short and she should wear longer shorts to sleep.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Even though she's just in her house, and some people prefer to sleep naked, but you think her shorts are too short. Who's that for? Okay. On top of that, he could tell that her friends were over recently. I don't know how, like, I don't know if they had their things there, like, oh, that's Jessica's shirt, or oh, that's Marika's pants. I'm talking about my real life friend. But yeah, so there was evidence that she had her friends over and he wasn't a fan of that. Not having a guy over, not having your friends over. By the way, the guys, the girls, they're all friends and they all come together. Unless he thinks they're having like massive orgies when he's not around, I don't know what the problem is. And he gave her shit for that. Like, why are your friends still coming over here? So she found herself getting in a very bad mood. And this is on the like, she's supposed to be telling him some very major life-changing news. You should not be in a bad mood when you have to share this. So she said plainly, like, oh, so I'm supposed to just never see my friends again? I've already conceded to not seeing them when I'm in Seoul. I only go to Seoul to see you. I can't have my friends over my own apartment now? It gives me the ick. It gives me the ick.
Brother, ugh.
So yeah, this is the part in her email when she really wanted you guys to pay attention to some red flags and warning signs about controlling and manipulative partners, because men and women are both victims of this. You know, there are plenty of crazy girls out there, esta loca, who will tell you, you can't have female friends now that I'm your girlfriend. Who is she? Why are you looking at her like that? You hearted her picture. So this goes both ways. There's a lot of stuff that she just kind of let roll off her back. And this is her first relationship in Korea. And she's like, you know, maybe they do things differently here. Like, there's a lot that she excused that she wouldn't normally excuse and make excuses for. But also take into consideration that she is now pregnant by this man. So she's like, we got to make this work. So she let a lot of this go and she doesn't want you guys to do the same. Like, don't ignore these signs that make you feel uncomfortable with a partner.
We interrupt this anecdote for a message.
But yeah, instead of apologizing for being unreasonable, he just tried to make her feel better. He didn't say I'm sorry or answer her question or acknowledge, like, wait, you're mad at me for having my friends over? He just tried to make her feel better because he could tell she was upset. So then he's like, you can have friends and they should be able to come over. They just shouldn't be single. I don't understand the logic of a single friend being a bad influence on you. There are plenty of people in relationships who are awful. Like, they cheat, they lie, they abuse their partner. Like, why do you think being not single makes you somehow a better influence? I would 1,000,000,000% rather be happy and single than miserable and in a relationship. That's something he is firm on because he brings it up all throughout the relationship. So after all this, on this night, she decided, I'm not about to tell him I'm pregnant just because I'm in a shitty mood and it's probably going to come out in a really bad way. So unfortunately, the next day when she woke up, she threw up. And I mean, we all know what it means when an otherwise healthy appearing or healthy seeming woman just randomly throws up. You're like, oh shit, are you pregnant? So Hans asked her what was wrong. And she's like, oh, you know, come to the bathroom. There's something I gotta show you. And she decided, let's just rip the band-aid off. And she kept the pregnancy test because she was planning to show him all 5. And that was another reason why her friend suggested he should come over there so she didn't have to take 5 peed on sticks up to him in Seoul. He made a dumb joke when he first saw that. He's like, oh, COVID?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Are you not ashamed of yourself?
She's like, I think I might be pregnant. I missed 2 periods and these are 5 positive pregnancy tests. His first reaction was, why didn't you tell me sooner? And she's like, well, I didn't want to tell you until I was pretty sure. Like, why tell you? And then I'm like, oh, sorry. I know I told you I might be pregnant, but I just got my period. So she asked him how he feels about it and he was silent. Understandably, you know, give you a minute. Let the same thoughts that went through my head go through yours because this is a big deal. So he says he needs a minute and he leaves her apartment. So Anna is just sitting there alone in her place like, that's interesting. So about 2 hours later, he comes back to her apartment and he says that his family wants them to have this baby. She's like, wait, what the you told your family? Why would you do that without telling me first?
Tell me why.
She did decide that she wanted to take care of it, Or if they had this talk and decided it mutually, now you can't, because like you'd be the villain after telling your family, oh, there's one on the way, and then JK, not anymore. Why would you do that? Like, she didn't even tell her own family because she wasn't sure what she wanted to do first. Like, why tell them, hey, I'm pregnant if I'm not gonna keep it? Or if I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet? Plus, they never actually confirmed it with a doctor yet. Like, that's kind of a first major step. So he said they need to know because this is important. And she said that was the moment when she felt like she lost all control over everything that was going on. So with that, with his family being aware of the situation, getting rid of it was no longer an option. She knew that they were about to be parents. So now she's pissed and she wants him to know that. He kept saying, calm down, it's not good for the baby, the gaslighting. And she feels like he did that to control her. Like, imagine if you found out your son was having a kid and then, I don't know, a few weeks later, you found out, never mind, your son's girlfriend decided to get rid of it. Then you hate her forever. And then he says, my family wants to meet you as soon as we can. He never suggested her meeting his family at all before this. Now suddenly this has to happen now. He's like, we definitely got to find a bigger place together. You should move to Seoul to be with me. You should have told me as soon as you knew, because now we have way less time to prepare. I just want y'all to know she's what, about 6 weeks pregnant at this point? Like, what are you talking about? You should have told me way sooner. So she just sat there stunned in silence while he's pacing, making all these plans, all these declarations of what is about to happen and what they're going to do without asking her opinion. She figured, what's the point? He's not listening anyway. So once he leaves, she calls her friends hysterical and crying. She's saying now she has to have this baby, like there's no choice. He just told his whole family about it. And now she has to meet his family for the first time and she's pregnant. And at this point, they really did not like him, which is understandable, I would say. He was amazing at first, an absolute star, but now he's just completely hijacked her life. And she didn't even tell her friends what he said about not having them over anymore. So with this, she decided to finally fill in her family about what's been going on. Like, they knew she was seeing a guy, but it wasn't serious. But now that she's pregnant, it is serious. And naturally, they want her home for the birth. Of course, Hans and his family won't be having any part of that. They're not going to allow that. So they made their doctor's appointment, and surely enough, the doctor confirmed that they are indeed expecting. Everything is normal and healthy so far. So now it's time to meet his family, which consists of mom, dad, a great uncle, grandparents, plus a cousin or two. He doesn't have any siblings, he's an only child. And I think it shows. Anna didn't know what to expect from his family because she's never learned about them. He doesn't talk about them. She's never met them. And she also knows she's a foreigner. She's impregnated by this dude. They might think poorly on her or look down on her. But they were actually very pleasant, very nice, exciting, friendly, did not speak English at all, but they were very welcoming to her, to the family. She was very relieved, and that was definitely one less thing she had to worry about. So Hans was there to kind of be the translator. She wasn't quite sure if what he was saying was accurate, but their gestures seemed to match what he was saying they said. So trust it for now. You'll see. He lied. So they keep telling her to eat healthy, don't be stressed, get plenty of rest. They're all talking about names, if it's a boy or if it's a girl. And of course, the topic of marriage comes up. Because he's an only child, they keep telling him they want him to do this the right way. They need to get married before the baby comes. They need to move in together before the baby comes. They need to create the most stable environment possible for this child. And it's pretty sad that they didn't even consider the possibility that she might want to go home to be with her family to give birth. And she said sitting there with him and his family, she felt like Rose in Titanic, that scene where her mom is talking with the friends and they're all making decisions for Rose. Even Cal's like, oh, we're gonna do this. Oh, she'll have the lamb. Like, she felt like she was not in control of her own life anymore. No one cared what she wanted. No one asked her what she wanted. They didn't even ask her for her input about names. They just kept telling her, this is how it's done in Korea. We must do it properly. And she felt very pressured. So just like that, they're all planning a wedding.
What a beautiful wedding! What a beautiful wedding!
And what's crazy is Hans never actually formally proposed to her.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
He was given the ring and the dress by his parents. And part of me wonders if he knows that if he did propose to her, her answer would not be yes. Plus, based on his actions so far, he doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of giving her any choices. So yeah, they planned for everything and said, we'll do it all because stress is bad for the baby. Her only thing that she said is because her family can't make it, like they can't all afford to take off work and fly out to Korea, she really wants her friends to be there. She hasn't seen them. She would really like if she had some people in her corner. He said it's a bad idea because of their lifestyle.
Breathe in, boy.
They're single 20-somethings who enjoy the club. They're not on drugs. They're not felons. They're not criminals. They go to the club. Like, what the hell? He was also just in the club. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But she put her foot down and they had an argument about this. I'm not about to go through with a wedding where I know no one there. This wedding can't be just me plus all of your people. Like, that's not fair. I need to have some people there that I care about. He's like, yeah, we can have a live stream so your family can watch it, and that, fine, sure, but I need some people in person there with me too. Eventually he concedes and he says, fine. How many of y'all think that he actually did invite her friends to the wedding? More on that in a bit. So the wedding does happen very soon because they must do all this before the baby comes. So they've moved in together. Anna is now 5 months pregnant, and now she's also a wife. But guess what? Her friends weren't there. At first, Anna thought they weren't there because they didn't feel like they were her friend anymore. It's been like a year now of her barely seeing them and barely talking to them. So she's like, wow, my friends aren't my friends anymore. They must hate me. And she knows that they hate him. So she thought that was their way of protesting this union. So she decided to give them a piece of her mind. She's pregnant, hormonal, alone, stressed. She types out this long ass dissertation about how she's so disappointed in them that they couldn't put aside their personal grievances and their difference of opinion to support her on this very important day that only comes once in a lifetime for, ideally, for most people. A lot of people do get divorced and remarried these days. It is what it is. And they're like, girl, we weren't invited. Like, don't be mad at me. So the friends thought they weren't invited, and she thought they didn't show up because they were mad at her. So she was confused because she knew someone was lying. Either Hans was lying about sending the invites, or they were lying about receiving the invites and just chose not to show up. But she's pretty sure she knew which one was the liar. Even though her friends did not like him, they were never hostile towards him or rude. Like, they were always very cordial. The same cannot be same for Hans. He made his low view of them very known, very apparent.
I don't fucking like you.
What?
I said, I don't fucking like you.
You don't like me?
No.
So she asked him why he lied about inviting her friends, and he said, it's what was best.
What you say? That you only meant when.
I'm sorry, what? It's best for you to lie to your pregnant wife? And every time they got in an argument, he's like, think of the baby. You need to calm down. You're too emotional. He said he just wanted to end the argument by telling her what she wanted to hear, instead of actually listening to what she was saying. I'm literally speechless. I don't know what to say. Who does that? And of course this led to another argument. He's like, calm down. You're pregnant. Think of the baby. You're too emotional.
Oh, here we go again.
So he said, look, the wedding went off without a hitch. Like, it was successful. They didn't have to be there for it to be success. We were both very happy. She's like, I wasn't happy because I thought my friends didn't give a fuck about me. And turns out you just didn't invite them. So she was about to leave. She turned around. This argument was going nowhere. She was about to leave the apartment. So he's calling her, telling her not to go anywhere, and she's ignoring him. She says she's going to their house right now. She needs to see her friends. So he slammed the door shut when she tried to open it. And he said, you can't leave in this condition. And he blocked her. He physically blocked her from leaving. And then he started to act like he was gonna cry because he did this thing where when he wasn't getting his way, he would threaten to harm himself. He would act like he's the victim of whatever argument they were having. Like, her thoughts and feelings were invalid because he's the true victim of all of this. And she does say that unlike what's going on with Courtney the enthusiast, luckily for her, like, she feels really fortunate that he was never physically violent with her. Like, he never hit her or physically harmed her. It was emotional and psychological, mental abuse. So yeah, it became a pretty common occurrence that whenever they had a fight and he feels like he was losing ground, I guess, he would threaten to hurt himself. And he'd say, like, you're about to be a single mom. What is our kid gonna do without me around? Things like that. So she would dial it down and she would back off and just let him have his way. So yeah, she chose to stay. So the next day when they wake up, he acts like nothing happened. Hey, honey. Hi, wife. We should go out and get some air and go to the park. You don't get to say that to me when last night you threatened to make me a widow and a single mother, and to have that on my conscience that you will hurt yourself because I left. Like, stop. Oh my God, I can't. So unfortunately, this was her new life and she was stuck. By the way, when she moved in with him, she did have to quit her job. He encouraged it. He said, you should be a full-time mom. You should be up here, have all your free time for the baby. That's what's best for the baby. She wasn't allowed to work anymore. And please, that is another thing you need to keep in mind. He did not want her to work anymore. It was his decision for her to stop working. She loved her job. She wasn't allowed to see her friends, and Hans was her whole world. He was the only person she socialized with. Even her family got shut down for trying to talk with him. They just wanted a video chat, a phone call. They've never heard this boy's voice outside of like recordings. They got to see the live stream of the wedding and pictures here and there, but they don't know him. So we skip to the birth Anna gives birth to a happy and healthy baby girl, and she does give birth in Korea because, let's be real, her going home was never an option. They don't even consider letting her family get involved. Like, it's so weird, but you'll see this was all a one-sided ruse perpetrated by Hans. His family's actually really chill, they just didn't know the full situation. So yeah, Hans is the only one working because, again, he insisted that Anna be a full-time stay-at-home mother. What makes it odd is after their daughter was born, Hans started to complain about some things. Oh my god, the diapers are gone already? Why is the light bill so high? If you're cold, put on a sweater, stop turning on the heat. Basically, he's complaining about the finances of it all. And look, here's the thing. I feel like there is absolutely nothing wrong with a couple wanting that traditional gender role lifestyle, but that it goes two ways. Like, a lot of people want the woman to be a trad wife, to be the stay-at-home caremaker, cook, clean, look after the kids. That is your full-time job. But then they don't have the money to support that lifestyle, because if a woman is going to stay home, cook, clean, look after the kids full time, that means you have to bring in the money. You can't expect your girl to do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the caretaking, and still work. Like, that's not a trad wife. So like, a lot of these men want that traditional wife, but they're not prepared to be that traditional husband. I find that interesting. So since he told her to quit her job, he keeps complaining about the money and the bills and how he can't do it all. And she's like, you told me to quit my job. Like, she's offered to go to work. She's like, I miss my job. Should I go back? He's like, well, who will watch the kid? And she said, that's how parents work. You know, it's a two-way street. When I'm at work, you can watch her. When you're at work, I can watch her. And we also have your family here. Like, that's one of the perks of having grandparents around. Like, they like to watch the kids. And it's like, you don't understand that babies are expensive? Like, you thought this was going to be easy? That's why so many of us are having fewer, if any, kids at all. So he's like, I don't want my family to know about this. I don't want my family involved. But it's like, you won't let my family help or be a part of this. We can't rely on your family to be a part of this. You just want to complain about everything and take it out on me. So yeah, he didn't want them to know that they're struggling. But this situation is very much a product of all the control that he wanted. So this was her life for 3 years. He would take out all his frustrations on her. He would comment about her weight gain, blame her for feeding the baby too much, and that's why they're out of baby food, and what a burden she is on him emotionally and financially. And if she dared to speak up, he would threaten to hurt himself and make her a widow and a single mother.
All around me are familiar faces.
Her self-esteem is at an all-time low, and now she's alone. So y'all might be wondering what finally changed all this, right? So Anna realized she couldn't do this anymore. She told him about everything that he's wanted to control and how we're in this situation because of the control that you wanted. I want to work, you say no. I want help from my friends and family, you say no. You told your parents about this kid to make sure we have this kid, and now it's such a burden. I'm such a burden. We're such a burden. You asked me to move in with you. And when he did his typical, I'm gonna hurt myself, you better stop talking to me that way, she called his bluff. She said, do it.
Do it! Just do it!
Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
She didn't care anymore because if this was their relationship, she didn't want it. She wanted to be honest with his family about how much they were struggling, because for what it's worth, his family was absolutely understandable and they were on her side. Like, they were pretty fair about what her situation is like, being a foreigner in a new country, trying to raise a kid. But there was a lot that they didn't know, and it's about to come out now. So with this argument becoming more heated because she called him on his bluff and he didn't run to the kitchen and hurt himself, now he calls his family over because he needs backup. And when he said he was going to call his family over, she said, cool, I'm going to call my friends, because she had a friend who speaks Korean. She needs a translator. So luckily for her friend got over there pretty quick, but Hans was trying to not let her in the apartment. His family showed up, they all got in, and now they're all having this argument, this discussion, and the parents are worried about their daughter hearing all this yelling, all this fuss, all this commotion. So Anna finally lets it all out, and her friend is able to translate to everybody. Not through Hans to the family, so filtered bits can get through, but bluntly how she's been feeling these past few years. And this is when it's revealed that they thought she wanted to get married. They thought she wanted to quit her job and be a full-time mom. They also were told that she purposely stopped taking her birth control because she wanted a child.
I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing.
When in reality, the problem was Hans didn't always want to wrap up his kimbap. So not only were they mad that Hans lied to them, but they were mad for her, like, oh my god, you've been suffering so much alone, I'm sorry. So right now, Hans and Anna are in a weird place where she's been thinking a lot about divorce, but she also saw what Courtney's been going through, and she knows the laws will favor her husband Hans. Also, she partially wants to work it out for the sake of their daughter, but she also knows that if it keeps going like this, she can't go through with this for the sake of her own sanity. Her Her kids don't need to see that. Like, that's not a healthy environment for kids to grow up in. Like, a lot of people make it seem like you need to make a relationship work. The parents need to stay together at all costs, when if it's a bad one, a bad example of a relationship, the kids don't need to see that at all. It's better to be single. And she worries that physical violence is the next step. And she said Courtney's story was very much a wake-up call for her, and she started to worry that he might actually become dangerous. At least he's been drinking more. I mean, think about how often we hear stories and see these stories of a man who is overworked or overstressed or whatever and ends up taking out on his family, and he kills his wife and his kids. Like, that happens way too often. But luckily for her, she does have his family support, and they beg him to try to be understanding to her. Like, she hasn't seen her family in years. She doesn't get to see her friends. Like, her life is just this baby, and then you come home from work and then blame her for all of it, you know? And they actually fear that she'll try to take the baby and run to the States, but I don't think they're aware that that's not that easy. So yeah, Courtney's video shows how one-sided Korean law can be, especially when it comes to foreign rights. They overwhelmingly favor the Korean citizen, which is weird because there is so much legislation and so many plans and talks and initiatives to welcome more foreigners to the country, whether you want to work in Korea, whether you want to live in Korea, whether you want to visit Korea, study at uni in Korea. Like, they want a lot of foreigners. They want more foreigners in the country because they need your tourism money, they need your school money, and they need to replace the aging workforce. Yet a lot of their laws don't acknowledge foreigners and accommodate foreigners yet. So in Courtney's video, she well documented the verbal and physical abuse she received from her husband. There are many loopholes to get around all of that, and unfortunately a lot of police officers and a huge part of the law doesn't take all this seriously enough. And that's not just in Korea, by the way. That's like a worldwide issue. How often is it, how common are these stories where a girl goes to the police because she needs help because she's being stalked by a stranger, or she's being harassed by her ex-boyfriend, her current partner, and she fears for her safety, and they don't do anything until she's missing or dead? That happens all the time, unfortunately, everywhere. Again, I'm not saying this is just Korea, but these stories are about Korea, so be aware that these problems exist over there as well. DV is a far and widespread issue, and it's unfortunate that there's not enough done to acknowledge it, prevent it, and protect people from it. And all this going on while Korea's president and Yoon's administration is actively trying to defund and dismantle these services that help men and women who deal with DV experiences in a relationship. Ignoring it won't make it go away, and we need to talk about it. This is why I'm really glad I got this story. Again, I had no idea none of this was going on. I had to learn about Courtney a few days ago, and it's really brave that she's coming out, because I'm sure she's getting a lot of hate because people love to victim blame, don't they? But because Anna saw her story, she was encouraged to share her story, and maybe this will snowball and other people will share their stories and offer each other advice and support. I just feel like there's so much reform that needs to be done in Korean law that acknowledges foreigners, especially with all the nannies coming over from the Philippines, the foreign workforce that they're requesting, foreign students, foreign teachers, foreign workers, foreign residents. They're introducing so many visas to welcome foreigners in the country because the population is rapidly declining and rapidly aging. So if you want us there, you got to make it safe and comfortable for us to be there. So yeah, spread awareness and know the warning signs of this type of manipulation and control and abuse, physical, mental, all of it. And don't ignore the red flags, because unfortunately this is reality for too many people. And there was more strange behavior to come. For example, when he was sleeping over, staying in her apartment, the baby will wake up in the middle of the night and she would hear and feel him get out of bed. And she assumes, oh, good, he's going to look after our son and see why he's crying. But then she would hear the front door because he left. What's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. So, this title. This video is going to be pretty heavy. Before she wrote this email in, she says she saw the video we just did last week. She saw the video I made about why there's a spike or a notable uptick in Korean men being in relationships with foreign women. And she's like, oh, let me tell you about my experience with a Korean man. And here we go. So she's gonna tell us about how she felt like she was tricked into having a Korean guy's baby. But you know, she loves her son. Like, this is nothing against her child. Like, everything happens for a reason. She's so happy she has her kid. Like, she could not emphasize that enough. I don't want to make it seem like just because she's talking about some dark things in this video and some parts of the video she does wish that she terminated things, she is absolutely happy that she has her son. Like, that is one thing I want to be absolutely clear about before we start this video. Also, before we start this video, the last video I uploaded, I told you guys that my boyfriend may be in some of these vlogs, but based on the reaction from you guys, we're not gonna do that. Like I said, the reason I wanted to do it, I'm not trying to make this a couple channel or anything, but I have noticed that when we vlog together, you guys like those videos more because the likes are higher, the views are higher, so I thought you would want to see that. But we're gonna keep them on Patreon. So I just uploaded a video for my patrons. We went out, had a date day, we vlogged around. He explained like some of the culture and some of the areas we were in. So it was really fun. It was a really good date. We have a nice weather for once, like clear air, blue sky, kind of rare this time of year here. So it was really good to see. So if you want to see that video, click the link down below in the description. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So a lot of my viewers are English teachers. The English teaching industry is booming out there. So Raya, that's her name for the video, is no different. But she's like a long time teacher. She's been in South Korea teaching English for 8 years. At this point, she is very much assimilated. She speaks great Korean, and she's very comfortable living in South Korea. She likes it there. She prefers it there. You know, with spending so much time in South Korea, eventually you get close to people. She had some really good friends. Her coworkers, they were really tight, and they kind of would get on her because of her lack of a love life.
Toasted our wedding. I'm happier without you.
But she just wasn't interested in dating. You know, some people just aren't interested in that. Like, some people want to have their selves situated before they want to bring someone else into the fray. They want to have their own confidence worked on, be at a stable position in their life before they bring someone else into their life. Totally understandable. So she wasn't on dating apps. She wasn't going on speed dates or blind dates or nothing like that at all. She's saving her money, she's traveling when she can, and she's working. She's got no time to date, she's not interested. That was perfectly fine with Raya. But when her coworkers would not stop gushing, one coworker in particular would not stop gushing about this really great guy and how they would hit it off, and she just knows there'd be a good match. But you know, respectfully, she's like, yeah, I appreciate that, but I just really don't have time. They're like, come on, you gotta eat. You eat at least 3 times a day. Why not just eat with this boy? And it took some convincing. You know, she did see some of his pictures and she's like, oh, wait, he's kinda cute. So eventually she did agree to have a meal with him. What's the worst that could happen?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
If it doesn't work out, at least she can get her friends off her back. Like, listen, I tried. I went on your little blind date thing. It went nowhere. Let me be my single life. I'm happy. I'm fine. And if it did work out, she has somebody new to kick it with, you know? So Raya goes to meet with this boy, and she's really not giving it a whole lot of effort in her appearance. She says she literally did like a no makeup look. She had on jeans and a t-shirt. Nothing too crazy. She said, I'm just gonna go appear so I don't ghost. Done and dusted. So the guy she's meeting, we'll call him Yubin in this video, and he shows up dressed in chinos and like a nice button-up shirt. Like, he's dressed up, his hair's slick, like he made an effort, and she felt bad about that. She's like, damn, I look kind of bummy. I'm so sorry. I'm not used to this sort of thing. I don't really know how to dress up. I don't want to do too much, so I just kind of went with my everyday look. He's like, oh no, trust me, I totally get it. Like, my friends had to make me dress up. Like, I was gonna come in a t-shirt and jeans too. And on top of that, like, so he's making her feel better about like being a little casual and dressed down. But on top of that, he's like, oh, you know, but you look gorgeous. Like, if this is you dressed down, I don't think I could stand you being dressed up.
Chan, are you made of fluorine, iodine, and neon? Cause you kind of look fine.
Been a nasty girl, nasty.
You look better in person. And that's when she's like, oh, right, so you must have seen my pictures. Like, I've seen yours, it makes sense that you've seen mine as well. So he's gushing over her and telling her how happy he is that she made the time and effort to come and meet him. So they sit and start to chat, and Raya's like, damn, this is off to a really good start. Food is great, they're getting to know each other, and they both got a text from the friend who set them up. She's very much involved in their love life. She feels like she has stakes riding on this. So she's all like, text them at the same time. How's it going? Are you still together? How's the food? Do you like each other? Like, how's it going? Like, she just wants to know an update from both of them. So like, at that point, they both kind of laughed and looked at each other like, did she text you too? Like, this is crazy. And they're like, damn, like, I think she's already planning our wedding. But yeah, the friend was very, very happy to hear that it was going well. Raya and Yubin seem to like each other so far. And I don't know about y'all, but I've only had one friend set me up on like a blind date, and because of this horrible experience, that was the first and last time I let a friend set me up on a blind date. I just want to take a brief moment to tell you about the disaster of that. And if you guys have also had experiences with your friends setting you up with someone, let me know in the comments. Like, let's trauma bond. Or maybe if it went great and you can cheer me up. I'll add a little timestamp if you don't want to hear my story. If you want to get back to Raya's story, totally understandable. You can skip to that. But yeah, this is why I've never let a friend of mine set me up on a blind date ever again. This first happened when I was 18. I was working at Famous Dave's as a hostess, nice barbecue joint. It was my first ever job, and I had a coworker. She was a really sweet girl, and she noticed that I was single. So she told me she had a friend who was like available and he was really nice. I cannot remember his name, not that it matters, but it was something like, it might have been like Antoine or something. I can't remember. It's something with an A. So she's like, yeah, you know, you're a really sweet girl. He likes good girls. He likes sweet girls, and he's like a really good guy. He's a good friend of mine. So can I give him your Facebook? Unfortunately, until I was about 25, I was in like a really hardcore people pleaser phase. So I'm 18 at this point. And I was like, sure, yeah, go for it. Send him my Facebook. Yes, this was back when I still used Facebook. This was like late 2011 or early 2012. Before I turned 19 in April. So when I get home from work, I see that I have a friend request from some guy, and this guy is the friend that my coworker was talking about. So I accept him. Guys, I kid you not, the very first message that he sent me was a dick pic.
Oh! Stop doing that! Stop! Again!
I hate it here!
Bro, tell me your name first. Introduce yourself. Say hi. Like, what the actual fuck? So naturally, I freak out. And for context, I was still pure and chaste back then. I hadn't had relations with anyone until I was 22. This was an 18-year-old me. So that was scary and icky to me, you know? That was definitely my first ever dick pic, by the way. Not only that, but it was like really long. So that scared me. It freaked me out. I can describe the picture. It's seared into my brain. He was in his bathroom. He must have had like, you know, those wide mirrors in front of the sink, holding the phone with one hand, holding his shirt up with the other, pants down low enough to see his whole peen, and just snaps the pic. And that's the very first thing he said to me. Not, hi, nice to meet you. Hi, you must be Isis. Nope, dick pic, right out the gate. Now, everyone who knows me personally knows that I am a prude. To this day, I'm pretty prudish. She had to know back then, this is who Isis is. Why she thought we were a match, I will never know, but I'm sorry, the story gets worse. So I freaked out and sent her a message like, what the hell, why did he just send me a dick pic? Like, he didn't even introduce himself. She's like, sorry, I'll talk to him. I don't know why he did that. He knows you're not that kind of girl. So a few hours goes by and he responds to me again. He apologized, saying he thought I would be into that. He was saying how he knows how important first impressions are, and he feels like, yeah, you know, I might have ruined this with you. I'm so sorry. I understand if you don't want to talk to me again, but that was my bad. I thought you might like it. And he was like, you know, I'd love the chance to try again and take you out properly. And again, I was in this people pleaser phase until I was about 25, so I said yes.
Wow.
That was back, even when I couldn't say no. When the manager asked me to work an extra shift, I would say yes, even though I did not want to. That was a horrible phase of my life. I think around 25, I kind of grew out of that. Maybe living in Korea helped me grow out of that. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, this story gets so much worse. So I said yes, we went on this date. He picked me up. First, we went to Chipotle, and I can't remember why, but he had Chipotle, I didn't. I kind of just watched him eat. Maybe I wasn't hungry, maybe I didn't want Chipotle, because I actually didn't even have Chipotle for the first time until 2013. So I don't know why I didn't have it. Anyway, we went to the movies after that, went Dutch, he paid for his ticket, I paid for mine. I'm perfectly fine with that, especially if I don't like you. I don't want any sort of residual guilt of you buying me a meal or paying for whatever excursion we do. And the whole thing was really awkward though, because that was my first time being with someone, hanging out with them in their presence when I know what their privates look like. I was still a bee back then, so that was really weird to me. Anyway, after the movie, we were about to head out. He was gonna drop me back off home, but he asked me for some gas money. Again, I didn't mind, you know, I was like, you know, you pick me up, you're taking me home, I don't mind chipping in some gas money, whatever. And I hate to say it, but because I was in like that yes girl phase, I feel like I only went out with him to not be rude. Like, I felt obligated. I didn't like him. Like, after that, like, that first impression is hard to shake. You know, I know exactly what you want, and I'm not giving you that. So we're wasting each other's time. I do find it funny though how he was like, I want to take you out. Give me another chance to redo this, to redo a good impression. You wanted to take me out, but I gave you gas money and I paid for my own ticket. That's funny. So we're in front of my house, and fun fact, he's the one who got me into The Weeknd. So if anything good came out of this, I at least discovered who The Weeknd was through this. He was playing The Weeknd. I love him. He's weird. The Idol show, I do look at him weird, but I still love his music. His new album was fire. Hurry Up Tomorrow. Recommend it. So that was the first time I ever heard The Weeknd. He's like dropping me. He's really right in front of my house, and I'm like, you know, it was nice meeting you. That was fun. Trying to get out the car. He was leaning in for a hug. Give me a hug, like that type of energy. And I didn't want to do that because I know when you get close enough, they try to kiss you too, right? So I got out safely, went upstairs, and that was it. But I did see that he posted on his status, when you take a girl out and she don't show you what that mouth do.
Brother,
What's that? What's that, brother?
Bro, what? Again, you didn't take me out. You picked me up and I paid for it. You were my Uber ride. I paid for my own movie ticket. Like, you didn't feed me. What do you mean you took me out? We hung out together. If anything, I took you out. I paid for the gas. Anyway, I told my friend all about this. She was like, girl, I am so sorry. I really thought y'all would hit it off. He was cute. I'll give her that. He was really cute. He had these little cute dorky glasses. I like, anyway. She was like, you know, I really thought y'all would hit it off. I'm so sorry, but that is the first and last time I let a friend set me up with a guy on a date. Never again. Sorry, that just seemed relevant because in this part of the story, you got a friend setting two people up on a blind date and she's all like, how's it going? How's it going? So that just kind of brought me back to that trauma when I was 18. That was a long aside, but back to the story. Actually, should I say something crazy for the people who like skip the timestamp? So yeah, I heard they found his foot, but to this day, I don't know what happened to the rest of them. All right, back to Raya's story. Raya is pleased that they like each other. Like, this is going way better than she thought it would. And the mutual friend is asking Yubin if he understands Raya's Korean, and apparently Raya's friend made it seem like her Korean was dog crap, like it wasn't good. And Yubin's like, no, her Korean is really good. Like, we don't even need to speak English. I understand her Korean perfectly. So their friend asked them to take a selfie together and send it over to her, and they do. And even the waiter came by and offered to take their picture for them together. So when they took this picture and sent it over to their friend, that's when Raya's like, wait, we actually look really good together. And she started to see the vision. They end up exchanging contact information and they said, we are definitely going on a second date. Like, I have to see you again. And this time Raya wanted to dress up, be cute, do things proper. And she's hoping that'll help him see the vision too if he doesn't already. But he asked for her number as well. He agreed to a second date. So clearly he sees something. She's like, wow, I actually want him to like me. I want him to think I'm cute. Like, I gotta be pretty for this guy. He was easy to talk to. He was funny, sweet, friendly, and very chill. So at work the following Monday, Raya's co-worker's like, tell me everything. How'd it go? Are you guys still texting and talking? How was the rest of the weekend?
Mind your damn motherfucking business, bitch.
All up in their business. When's the next date? Who asked who first? Did he pay for dinner? And whenever Raya was in her phone and got a text, the friend is like, is that Yubin? She's like, girl, relax. He seems interested. I'm interested. We'll see how things go when we see each other again. And you'll be the first to know. I guarantee you'll be blowing us up throughout the date. And what's funny is this was enough for the friend to leave Raya alone, but then she blew up Yubin's phone asking him the same questions. So let's jump to their second date, and Raya's properly dressed up. She has like a cute skirt with a cute blouse, actual makeup on, blush and everything. And Yubin could not stop staring at her. Yubin asked if they could hold hands and she started to blush, and Yubin's like, oh, you don't even need the blush. Like, I see it naturally.
Cute.
So they decided to send a picture to their friend before the friend even asked, just to make her head explode. She is so invested, and they send her this picture, and instantaneously they got a call back from this girl like, are you guys still together now? How's it going? How's it going? Put me on speaker. She's already saying how she wants to be their wedding planner. The friend is on speaker saying how they look so natural together, how they look so good together, hyping them up, listing everything they have in common, all the reasons they would work as like the dream power couple, listing everything that she thinks makes them both very compatible. And apparently these words really resonated with Raya, because she's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Yes! Yes! Yeah!
Also, after they had a great second date, after only knowing each other for about 2.5 weeks, Yubin asked Raya to be his girlfriend, and she said yes.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
And she can't emphasize enough that normally this would be way too soon, but everything just felt so right, so she just said, I'm going for it. Months roll by, everything with Yubin is still great. They even double date with the friend and her husband now. They've met each other's friends, she's met Yubin's family. And even though she speaks Korean, his parents keep trying to speak English to her, and it's really cute, but unnecessary. And she felt it comforting that they were like making an effort to speak to her in English, even though she didn't need it. She's like, oh, bless them, like they're trying to communicate with me. Again, everything just seems so perfect, and throughout this email, like, Raya, she cannot emphasize enough how there were like no warning signs, no red flags of the peril, the switch up that's coming. Like, she had no, everything just, he just seemed like the perfect dream guy. So we jump ahead another 15 months. Up to this point, whenever they had like some alone time, they would go to Raya's apartment because Yubin still lived with his parents, which is pretty common in South Korea. And because he still lived with his parents, he was pretty eager to move out. Like, he kept talking about it a lot, like wanting to get his own place, wanting to be away from his parents. And he started to like insinuate and suggest that Raya and him move into a new, bigger place together. But you know, she's like, wait, I like my apartment. Like, this is the one I've had since I first came here, and it's my cozy, like, this is my footprint in Seoul. Like, I love this apartment. Her rent is paid for by her school. Like, who doesn't want that taken care of for you? So she's like, you know, maybe in the future, in a few years, we could live together, but no, I like my apartment. It's just us two, like, this is fine. But then he says, oh, but you know, we might need a bigger place. And she's like, why? And he's like, well, when we have kids, not if, when we have kids.
Damn!
Hold up. Wait a minute.
She's like, I'm sorry, what? Kids? Like, yeah, it's been almost a year and a half, but kids? What?
What?
That thought could not have been any farther from her mind. But remember, a year and a half ago, she didn't even want a boyfriend. So she brings this up to her mutual friend, like, why has you been talking about kids? He's never brought this up with me before. Has he said anything to you? She's like, well, you know, I've known him for a while and he's always wanted like a big family. Oh my God, he's gonna be a great dad. He's so good with kids. Now, this did not make Raya want to get pregnant or anything like that, but it did make her see him as like a better man. Guys who are good with kids or who want kids, green flags? I don't know, but that's how she felt. So the topic of moving in together was pretty much shelved for now. And now that she knows that he wants kids, so that's something that stays in the back of her mind. But you know, they've been together for a year and a half, so they are being intimate with each other. So the risk is always gonna be there. She is on BC, but they don't use rubber anymore.
We've seen a lot of people raw dog it with no gloves or no protection, and it's not good.
Don't ask me why. When you're with someone long enough, maybe y'all just have that discussion and decide you don't want to. That's your choice. And she felt like her being on BC and him evacuating was like enough to prevent the babies. And so far it was enough, but all that changed in one night. So Yubin spent a whole weekend at Raya's place, and they did that from time to time when they just wanted to have a weekend in together, just be cuddled up, watching TV, ordering food, away from the parents, just some privacy. While they were together, they had relations, and for some reason, Yubin didn't evacuate. He stayed inside. I hope y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to water this down for YouTube. Raya's like, OMG, I didn't know you were finishing. Like, why did you finish inside? He says, I'm sorry, it just felt so good and I lost control. But you're on BC, so we're fine. But she was still nervous though, because she never had someone like finish inside without a rubber before. So anyway, they went to sleep and she tried not to think about it. From that moment on though, she told him, hey, so we're gonna start using rubbers again because I can't have you losing control often. And Yubin said that was fine, and they did start using rubbers again. But this didn't stop her from missing her period. She wasn't too alarmed though, because she didn't have any morning sickness, she wasn't nauseous, she didn't have like tender breath, like no other symptom associated with being pregnant. Like, it was just a missed period, and that's happened before. She's like, you know what, I'm stressed sometimes, no big deal. But then when she missed another one, 2 consecutive periods.
Another one.
Now she's worried. So she decides to tell Yubin about this. And before she can even say that she thinks she needs to take a test, he is thrilled. Ooh. He's congratulating her on motherhood. He's about to be a dad. He's so excited. That's suspicious.
That's weird.
She's like, what? No, I don't know yet. I need to take a test to confirm. Maybe see a doctor. But he's so eager. He goes to a pharmacy, picks up like 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5.
You can see the gyno that my mom knows. Like, we'll have this all sorted. I'm so excited. She takes one. It's positive. She takes another. It's also positive. She's about to take the 3rd, but at this point, I think we can see where the tide is turning. Why bother? Our girl is most likely pregnant, right? And you do see the title of the video. With these positive tests, Yubin once again brings up the idea of them moving in together, getting a bigger place, because now they're about to welcome at least one. Could be twins, triplets, who knows? The friend who set them up is texting Raya to congratulate her, and she's like, whoa. She hasn't told anybody this yet, but Yubin's telling everybody because it's not confirmed by the doctor. Miscarries happen really early on. They're more likely to happen early on. She doesn't even know she wants to keep it. There's a lot of variables and they have a lot to consider. So she's like, slow down, please stop telling people. She's like, I'm on BC. Like, there's no way. But he reminds her that he finished inside a few months ago. And then Raya started to wonder if he did that on purpose. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think he did that on purpose? He lost control. But again, she is on BC, so maybe he thought it would be fine and always just wanted to finish inside raw. I don't know, but let me know what y'all think, because that is suspicious. So she didn't want to speculate too much until it was all confirmed by a doctor. A few days later, and it was indeed confirmed by a doctor. Now it's time to freak out because Raya's like, okay, what happens now? Like, what do we do next? I didn't make this kid alone, but I'm the one that's gonna go through the physical and mental changes associated with pregnancy. She's in a country she's not native to. Her family isn't here. Like, this is scary. But everyone around her is telling her how excited she should be. What a blessing this is, and it'll all work out the way it's supposed to. She talked to Yubin about this, like, can we afford a kid? Do we have time to raise a child? We need to do this right if we're gonna do it. And Yubin was all in. Yubin saying he knows they can do this. His family is so supportive. They all want this. They think it's what's best for everyone. And again, these words really stuck with Raya. She was like, you know what? Yeah, like it was just positivity. She's like, you know what? We can do this. We're gonna make this work. She felt more confident and capable about being a mother. His family was encouraging them to get married, but that's not something they wanted to rush just for the sake of being pregnant. And also, she said she didn't want to be like showing during a wedding. Like these wedding pictures, the wedding moment's gonna last forever. They had this idea that they would do it when their kid was old enough to be a part of the wedding, like be in the wedding. So yeah, she decided, time for this next phase of my life. I'm about to be a mom. We're gonna give this a go. We're gonna do everything we can to bring this child up happily and in a family. So months roll by and they're getting closer to the due date. But they did decide to hold off on a bigger place because they said, like, you know, in the first few weeks and months, it makes sense to be in a more cozy place because when the kid's crying and we need to get up and go to them, we want to keep an eye on them when they're that young. It doesn't really matter. Like, they don't need their own bedroom yet. Once he gets a little older, then we can get another place, a bigger place. But again, everything is heading in the right direction. They're talking about getting engaged soon. They talked about the expectations because Raya is no dummy. She's like, listen, I know what people expect of women in this country. I did not make this kid alone, so I don't plan on raising this kid alone. She's like, I'm gonna need your help. I'm not from Korea. This is gonna be expensive. I'm gonna be relying on you a lot. We both are, me and this kid. We're gonna be relying on you. And they seem to be on the same page. Like everything just seemed fine. Like they perfectly understood each other. So now we jump ahead another few months and Raya is now in labor. They planned for this, everything was smooth, happy, healthy baby boy was born. Everyone's happy, everyone's congratulating them. And again, there were no red flags leading up to this moment. Like the bigger she got, the closer the baby came, he still seemed as solid and reliable as he was ever gonna be. There was nothing that indicated the sharp turn this relationship was about to take. She really thought she was about to have the picture perfect fairy tale family. So their baby's about 2 weeks old now. Everyone is showering them with anything they might need, the diapers, the baby food. I'll babysit if you want to go on a date night, like anything that they think they might ever need. Everyone on his side and their friends are offering their help and support. But you know, when the baby's like 2 weeks, they're up random hours of the day and night, which means you need to be too. They're not getting sleep and it's stressful. And it makes this all worse because this is when Yubin started to change. So Raya started to realize that when their kid is up crying in the middle of the night, it's her waking up to go and tend to him. Yubin would start going to his parents' house and spending the night with them or staying with them for a day or two and leaving Raya in her apartment with their son alone. And this started to happen often. Even when Raya says she needs help, he would suggest, oh, should I send my mother to your place?
What?
You had one job. Just the one?
Because he was too busy and couldn't. He didn't have the time. She would remind him about the talk that they had before they birthed their son and how she would be relying on him and so would their kid. So they were on the phone having this conversation and this is when he snapped and yelled at her and said, oh, should I quit my job and just drop everything and go to you now then because you asked me to? And she's like, what are you talking about? You're not working. Like I can hear your parents in the background. And he just hung up the phone.
Oh! I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this.
And there was more strange behavior to come. For example, when he was sleeping over, staying in her apartment, the baby will wake up in the middle of the night and she would hear and feel him get out of bed. And she assumes, oh, good, he's going to look after our son and see why he's crying. But then she would hear the front door because he left.
What the? He needs some milk.
This happened a few times. And when she would ask where he went, he would say, I'll be back. Yubin would be gone for hours and come back with something they don't need, like more diapers, shower gel, toilet paper, ramen, baby food, something they're already pretty well stocked up on. But I guess he brought that back so he doesn't come back empty-handed after being gone with no explanation for hours. Other disturbing behavior, Yubin would also yell at their son because he wouldn't stop crying. Like, how do you yell at a baby thinking that's gonna make a baby stop crying? And that would lead to a fight because Raya would tell him, stop yelling at our son, and he yells at her. So he would excuse himself saying he's going to his parents, he'll see her soon. Sometimes soon meant a few hours, sometimes soon meant a full day or two. And this unfortunately became the routine. But there was one last time where this happened and Yubin just never came back. It was about 5 days at that point. Their son is about 3 months old now. So Raya would try to call him and get no answer on his phone. She would try to call his parents and they would make excuses for him. So she decided to go to his parents' house and see what's up. But when she got there, they didn't let her in. The mom came out, greeted her at the door, and repeated the same excuse that she gave over the phone. And it was at this point that Raya just had a breakdown. She's like, I know what's happening. I knew I shouldn't have had this kid. Why are men so unreliable? I can't do this alone. It's not fair. I didn't make this baby alone. Why should I raise it alone? Mind you, she's saying all this to his mom and she's in tears. So the mom says she feels sorry. She's trying to understand. And she said, I'll talk to my son. I don't know why he's being like this. So she says, please go home. It's cold out and please be careful going back. So Raya vents to the friend that set them up on this date a few years ago now at this point. And she's like, what? This doesn't sound like Yubin at all. But parenthood changes people. Some people step up, some people step away. So a few more days go by without a word from Yubin. And Raya's like, okay, so this is everything I feared. I'm about to be a single mom. He's a deadbeat dad. Eventually though, his parents called her and invited her to come to their apartment so they could all hash this out, and they said they had to discuss the matter seriously. So Raya decided to have a friend come over to her apartment to watch their son, and she was gonna go face him and the family alone. So she gets there, and this is her first time seeing Yubin in like 2 weeks. This is the longest they've been apart since they started dating. So they sit for a chat, and this is when Raya finds out what Yubin's been telling his parents about her. Apparently, Raya is controlling, and he suspects that Raya is cheating on him.
Are you not ashamed of yourself?
Really, Nick?
Again, I am not a mom. I just gotta imagine that when you're a mom and your child is 3 months or younger, you do not have the time to step out and be with another man. First of all, your body is probably not where you want it. Your mental is not where you want it. It depended on how you're feeding your kid. There might be some slip.
Breathe in. Boy.
She's not cheating on him. Like, come on, son. So yeah, Raya's like, what? When do I have time to cheat? I am working and I am raising our son mostly by myself. You're the one who disappears for all hours of the night and then come back with something we don't need. I'm controlling because I tell you to stop yelling at our son who's crying. So his parents look genuinely shocked. They're like, wait, you're leaving her? Wait, you're yelling at your baby? What? Because obviously you wouldn't tell your parents this side of your behavior. But that's what guilty people do. Like, they have to come up with some sort of justification to justify their BS. They have to make themselves a victim somehow to not feel bad about what they're doing, to defend what they're doing. So his parents question him, and of course he denies it.
Oh my god, stop fucking lying.
So this whole chat ended up being a he said, she said that went nowhere. Unfortunately though, this chat ended with their breakup. The parents said, this is not a fruitful relationship. You guys can't communicate. There's a lot we don't know about her. There's a lot we don't know about you, son. Maybe you guys should take a break. Maybe you guys should part ways for now. And Raya's like, no, we have a son. Like, that's not an option. It's like she's having this conversation with herself because the son and the parents are helping her. Like, they're like, all right, so how can we co-parent? Like, let's map this out, because she's like, I just said we're not breaking up. And y'all are having this conversation like I'm not in the room with you. So that ended up with them breaking up. That meeting ended their relationship. They have not reconciled since. Instead, they've mapped out co-parenting duties and schedules that of course Yubin is not honoring. And unfortunately, she is alone with their son most of the time. So now it's to the point where Raya is thinking about just leaving Korea, because if she's gonna be alone in this, at least she'll have her family with her. And luckily / unfortunately, Yubin does not seem to care too much about custody. Even said if she left Korea with him, she doubts he would even know for a few months, because the only time he really calls or comes around is like the birthday, Christmas, Children's Day, Chuseok, etc. So her son is almost 2 now, and this is where things stand with Raya. She's like, I kind of just want to go back home. Everything has been hard for her. She does not regret having her kid. Like, she is so happy she has her son. He's the love of her life, but at the same time, she feels really let down because everyone in her life, all her friends, Yubin and his family were like, this baby is a blessing. You guys are so lucky. Congratulations. You're gonna be a great family. You're gonna get married. Oh, this is the fairy tale ending that every person wants. And then not even half a year of this kid's life, and it all fell apart. A few weeks into this kid being into the world, and everything just fell apart. Leaving without any sort of explanation, picking fights, yelling at their kid, not helping, blowing up, making her feel bad for asking for help. Like, come on, man. I think this is what a lot of people fear when the thought of having a kid comes up. You don't want to feel like you're the one doing everything by yourself. Like, you didn't make the baby alone. You should not be raising the baby alone. And it's heartbreaking to hear, because she had this discussion with him. They were on the same page. She's like, I do not want to be in the situation where I am watching our kid by myself. He's like, I hear you, honey. I got this. I always wanted to be a dad. What happened to that? So yeah, guys, that is the story. That is Raya's story. We talked about a few times on my channel. It does seem like, you know, Korean guys are more interested in dating foreign women, but please be careful. And like she said, he doesn't seem too interested in custody of their kid, but if he did, it would be very hard for a foreign woman with limited rights in South Korea to fight for custody of their kid. 50-50, take them abroad, whatever. We've covered that too, like a toxic Korean husband using their kid as a pawn to like control and manipulate it. Like we've heard these stories all too many times. Just be cautious, protect yourself. If something don't seem right, it probably ain't, you know? Raya. And I can imagine like when you have to rewrite this stuff in bullet points and describe how you feel, it puts yourself back in that moment. So it can probably be a bit heavy. And I'm very grateful to you for sending this story into us because I think it's a good follow-up to the video we just did about, oh wow, Korean guys are dating foreign women more often. This is when that can go wrong or be problematic. So just protect your heart, protect yourself, and just be vigilant. Whenever Korean boys ask you if you live alone,
run.
혹시 혼자 살아요? Merida said she just wanted to cut to the chase. She didn't want to drag this out. She just wanted to get this out there, get it over with, rip off the band-aid. So what she did was she brought a recent 4th pregnancy test with her. She had taken it like the night before, pulls it out of her bag and just shows him. And at first he's looking down like, what is this? And then you can see the realization. He's like, and he realizes, oh God, you're pregnant. Tell me you don't feel like doing your hair without telling me you don't feel like doing your hair. What's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. On my channel, we've covered lots of story times, dating in Korea as a foreigner story times, but today we have a first. We have never talked about what happens when you get pregnant in Korea. If you can't tell, I didn't do my hair. I was not planning to do a video today, but I got this juicy email and I can't keep the tea to myself. I'm gonna tell you guys about it. We're spilling tea together. First of all, I want to thank my channel members. You see their names on the side. As always, please watch this video until the very end. I know my voice is annoying. I hate hearing myself too, but it helps me out a lot. Viewer duration is key. The video I uploaded a few days ago, viewer duration was low, which means it was not being recommended. It wasn't received well by the algorithm. Binge my videos. I put together a ton of playlists. The story times, the vlogs in Korea, the rants, all that stuff is put together for your viewing convenience. Also, drive up the engagement. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know that remember the episode of Game of Thrones when everybody ganged up on Jon and they said for the watch?
For the watch. 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 For the watch.
Leave a comment that says for the algorithm or for the engagement. Okay, so for today's story, we're gonna go with Merida from Brave. She wants to be anonymous for the story because, again, it's a lot of personal details and just in case her family's watching. Merida's an English teacher because I can't emphasize enough how there's so many. There's just a sheer abundance of teaching positions in South Korea. Originally, she went to Korea with her boyfriend. They decided they wanted to teach abroad together for a year. But after being there for a year, she decided she didn't want to leave Korea. He decided that he did want to leave Korea because it was like, you know, a footnote, a planned step together. He had other things he wanted to get back to, like what he actually studied in school and actually working in that field. She decided she wanted to stay, and naturally they didn't want to do a whole long distance relationship, so they broke up. Now with our girl Merida is it Merida? Let me Google that to make sure. Brave, I saw Brave so long ago. Brave? I wish I could do a wee Scottish accent. So yeah, with Merida being newly single, she decided to get back out there. You know, she came to Korea with her boyfriend, so she never got to partake in the dating scene and the flirting game, so this was her chance to experience something new. But luckily for her, she didn't have to lead through the trash.
Know your fucking place, trash.
And the leftovers on dating apps. One of her friends actually hooked her up with a guy that she couldn't rave about enough. She said, he's such a great guy, he's newly single, you guys should get to know each other. So through this friend, they were able to get each other's socials, Instagrams, and all that stuff, and DM, you know, just to see some pictures like, are they my style? Are they my type? By the way, we're gonna call this fella Minho. Pick up all your trash. So after seeing each other's photos and everything, they liked each other's vibe and they decided to DM each other and be in touch. So it didn't take long for Minho to ask Merida if she wanted to meet up in person, if she liked coffee, if she liked dancing, because he has some things in mind for a first date. So she agreed. She said, oh my god, I love coffee. So they got like, you know, pastries. I just mixed cake and pastry together and said pastries in a video. They got pastries and coffee, and with the vibe being there, they decided to take a stroll together, get to know each other a little bit more. And as they're walking, they're smelling food and they're still hungry. Like coffee and little snacks wasn't enough. They want to get an actual meal together. So after getting some Korean barbecue together, she said like she sat there and just watched him prepare the meat for her and cut up everything and serve her plate. And he was such a sweet guy, such a gentleman. And after that, they decided to go get some drinks and do some dancing, because dancing was a really big hobby of his. Minho likes to dance. So they leave the barbecue spot and they're en route to go to the club, but now it's a little bit chilly out and chill in the air as the night settles in. And Minho, being the K-drama oppa he is, he decided to give her his jacket.
You want my destiny.
She said they didn't go to like a full-out club, they went to like a lounge. Good for Minho, he passed the drink test. After a few drinks and shots, he didn't suddenly turn into a horny creep.
Introvert? Nah. Extrovert? Nah. Ambivert? No. I'm a perv.
And he was a really good dancer. Merida said that was such a turn on to see him, like, you know, have rhythm, and so he knew what he was doing on the floor. Like, she liked to see it. We love to see it. We love a man who can dance. You know?
I'm sorry, but no, what the fuck am I doing with my arms? Why do I look like that lady in the black dress, the freestyle dancing?
Hi, I'm Renata Bliss, and I'm your freestyle dance teacher.
They both kept audibly saying out loud, you know, this is going well, but we should call it a night because I just got out of a serious relationship. I don't want to rush this. And Merida said, oh my god, same. I just got out of a long relationship with my ex. He went back in the States. I'm still here by myself, exploring, learning about myself. So I concur. Let's take things slowly and get to know each other at a normal pace. So Merida got a little bit concerned because after what she thought was such a great date, she hadn't heard from him in a few days. She messaged him the next day and say, I hope you got home safely and I hope you slept well, good morning. And he didn't respond for a few days. So Merida thought this was the infamous ghosting happening to her that she heard oh so much about from her friends. But after a few days, he did explain that he was just really busy with work and it was like a scare that he might have been fired, and he said he couldn't face her if he was unemployed. It's so cute. So after that stress, he said it would make him feel a lot better if he could get to see her again. So they didn't make any sort of exciting plan. They decided to just meet up in the park because that's what you do. Honestly, I like to do that a lot too. I love parks. I will never not love going to a park. They were just hanging out, sitting there, walking around, stopping and sitting, just enjoying each other's company. And suddenly the weather took a turn. They had to rush to the nearest train station, like underground, because the rain came out of nowhere. It was not planned, but they had hopes that since it came suddenly, it would also go away suddenly. That did not happen. So with the rain comes cooler temperatures. They're getting colder now, and they decided to get something hot together. Some good old kimchi jjigae. I love kimchi jjigae. Merida says she can't really explain what happened next. Like, they're out in public eating at a little mom and pop kimchi shop. That rhymes. It was just the first thing they saw, and it was warm and dry inside. So they got their food, and it was kind of empty. It was just them, and they're just kind of getting closer together, and it's rainy outside and it's cold, and they're just having like an intimate conversation over a meal. And she said the mood just shifted. Rainy, cold evening, young adults with mutual attraction, sexual tension building, nothing else to do today. What do y'all think about to happen? But Merida was trying to be a good girl. She explained to him that, look, the rain is still going on. It's progressing well into the evening. I don't see the rain stopping. We should call it a night and go our separate ways, and maybe we can meet up again when the weather's better. Minho, however, gave her this look. All Merida said was he gave her this look. I think y'all know the look that I'm talking about. I'm gonna insert a clip that my friend Keely sent me. When we met up for drinks over the weekend, she showed me this clip and was aggressively tapping her phone like, if a man gave me this look. So when she said that he gave her a look, this is the look that I imagined. So now y'all can enjoy this look as well. So while giving her that look, he said that he wanted to spend some more time with her. Merida folded like a chair. She said, yup, whatever you want. But she also asked him, like, what do you have in mind? Because she didn't want to be the one to suggest something that wasn't being suggested. She wanted to see if that's what he was getting at. So she said, what do you mean? Like, what do you have in mind? And then he asked her the infamous Korean fuckboy question, you live alone, right? Whenever Korean fuckboys ask you if you live alone,
Run.
혹시 혼자 살아요? You know to proceed with caution, but she, you know, girls have needs too. Like, you know, there is this narrative that it's only dudes who be wanting to do this, and I think it's more often that guys do, but girls have needs as well. So he said we could get warm at your place.
What do you mean by that?
This man's got Riz. So again, she's like, look, you know, I like you, but I do appreciate what you said last time we met up about taking things slowly. I just want you to know if you come over, nothing's happening.
That is not correct.
So he's like, oh yeah, girl, don't worry. I'm not gonna try something you're not ready for. And when he said that, he gave her that same look.
I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak.
Oh wait, first let me describe Minho to you guys. I haven't done that yet. So she said Minho was about 26, and that's Korean age too, so that gets complicated. I'll just say about 26. She said he was 6 feet, handsome, had good teeth with a nice smile. She said he had big eyes for a Korean. I don't know what that means, but she noted it. She said he had great hair and that boyfriend aesthetic. Think cardigan with a plain white tee and some straight fitted jeans and some chucks. I was like, Merritt, I think I'm in love with your baby daddy. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So yes, she agreed and she let him come over, but she was also kind of panicking a little bit like, oh my God, I was not expecting company. What state is my apartment in? I did not clean. I don't know. Oh God, he's gonna think I'm horrible and disgusting now. But when they get there, he's like, oh, you know, this is your style. This is cute. Oh, it smells really good in here. Then he asked her if she had alcohol. He was trying to pop some bubbly. So because it's cold, they turned the ondol on, that's the floor heating, and they sat on the floor together, drinking and warming up. Just imagine this setting, y'all. It's cold and rainy outside. There's this man you're very attracted to who's nice and cute and also seems to be mutually attracted to you as well. And now you guys are alone in your apartment together. So because Minho thinks he's slick, he asked her if she wanted a shoulder rub.
Of course she said yes.
She said work's been stressful. She said the tension's like right here. Like she was directing him where to squeeze. And she said he was really good with his hands. And after, you know, a few minutes of a shoulder rub, she said he started kissing her neck. She said that led to her moaning, and then he just pounced on her like a puma. Next thing you know, they're kissing, making out, he's on top of her. She says she don't know what happened or when it happened or how, but it happened. But he did stop himself and pulled away and apologized. So then Meredith's sitting there like,
oh, why'd you stop?
So she said it was okay and that he should not stop. So he took his shirt off and she helped him. It's YouTube, I can't go into too much detail. Yeah, they spent the night together. What I found funny was after it was over, he laughed and apologized and said he was so not planning or expecting that to happen. She said, ditto, I was not expecting to let you hit. So what was cute is the next morning, he decided to make her pancakes. And she said, you know, they weren't the best pancakes. They were hella thin. She ain't had no syrup, but it was like a cute, sweet gesture. So after this encounter, they continued to be in communication. They talked and texted a lot, but they hadn't seen each other. Like there was just no time for them to meet up in person again. She said honestly, after he got to Punani, she wasn't really expecting to even hear back from him. She thought he smashed, now he's gonna dash. As the weeks went by, she realized she was late. She didn't think much of it. At first she's like, you know, I am stressed with work. It's a new situation in my life. Life changes, I'll be fine. But then there was also started to be some morning nausea she was worried about, and she thought, oh man, I need to start eating a more proper breakfast. She thought it could be like a seasonal change as they were going to fall into winter. Like she didn't really know what, but she did not expect it to be what it was. So then she misses 2 cycles. Now she's starting to get concerned. She decided to go and take a pregnancy test. 1 came back positive. So she took 2 more. And both of those came back positive as well. So that is 3 positive pregnancy tests. She's freaking out. Especially considering the fact that they did not use protection. Something she strongly advises you guys to actually do. Again, this was totally an unplanned hookup. She even said like, I'm a good girl, we're not hooking up tonight, I like you, but let's take things slow. She was powerless to resist. Yeah, so it wasn't planned or expected. So Merida broke down at this point. As you can imagine, she's alone, abroad, young, and pregnant. Since her breakup, you know, she had this vision of her just traveling, doing some solo traveling, living her life, enjoying just being by herself in Korea. And now she has a baby on the way. And honestly, she has no idea how Minho is going to react to this. You know, he seems like a nice enough guy. How does anyone react to finding out they're about to be a parent, you know? So she didn't know what to expect. She was absolutely terrified to tell him, and with abortion newly being legal in Korea, she thought maybe she should just go and do that. She wondered if she should tell him and then do it, just do it and not tell him. So she said about a month went by after she took these positive pregnancy tests, and she decided to tell Minho what was going on, but she wanted them to meet up in person so she could tell him in person. Now again, they had not seen each other since that night that they slept together. He agreed to meet her. He said, oh my god, it would be so great to catch up with you again. I've been so busy. I can't wait to see what you've been up to. So they agreed to meet up in a park because she wanted it to be public, but also not like an intimate setting where people in the next table could listen and be nosy, and in case he reacted badly, she didn't want it to be a scene, so she said let's just stick to a good old park. So you know, Minho is so excited to see her. He's like, oh my god, Merida, how have you been? I'm so sorry, work's been a mess. I've been so busy lately. I can't wait to catch up. And while he's going on in a good mood, he notices something's wrong with her, and she doesn't look as excited to see him as he is to see her. So he asked her, wait, what's wrong? Merida says she just wanted to cut to the chase. She didn't want to drag this out. She just wanted to get this out there, get it over with, rip off the band-aid. So what she did was she brought a recent 4th pregnancy test with her. She had taken it like the night before, pulls it out of her bag and just shows him. And at first he's looking down like, what is this? And then you can see the realization. He's like, and he realizes, oh god, you're pregnant. She said seeing the look of realization on his face made it more real, and then she started to cry, and he hugged her. He's like, oh, Kanchana-seo, it's okay, and started to hug her, which is a good response so far.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
She said honestly it was not what she was expecting. She thought he'd make an excuse like, oh, I am sterile, I can't get you pregnant.
Don't touch me, I'm sterile.
Or, oh, who did you sleep with after me? It can't be mine. Like, she was kind of expecting the worst. She thought he'd make a billion excuses as to why it couldn't be his, but he immediately recognized the situation in a mature way. Mind you, guys, he's only 26-ish. So he asked her, like, have you been to a doctor yet to confirm? And she said, this is the 4th pregnancy test I've taken within the past few weeks. I'm pretty sure I've got the symptoms, but no, I haven't seen a doctor yet. So he said they should go to the doctor together to make sure everything's okay, and he can go and kind of help be like a translator. He said he wanted to make sure everything was okay, but he also wanted to know like what she wanted to do about this. He said, I don't know, I just wasn't expecting this. I'm sorry, I'm too young. She started to cry again, and he hugged her again. And he apologized. He put the moves on her that night, bruh. She was not planning this.
What more do you want from me?
And Minho said, it's okay, we'll do what's best. So then he said, you know, it's cold out here. Have you eaten today? You should probably eat something healthy. Let's go get you some food. So far, so good, right? Like, I was like, oh, that's so sweet. That's like a good response. You know, you can see that he cares. And he's concerned that she's upset and wants to make sure everything is okay with her and the baby. So fast forward to the doctor's appointment, and they're getting the ultrasound. And she said as soon as they saw that little bleep, the doctor pointed out the little bleep on the screen, that's when shit got so real and just started to set in for them. They confirmed how far along she was. They said everything looks okay and healthy so far, and then they were congratulated as soon-to-be new parents. Meredith says she looked over at Minho and his face was just drained of life, like there was nothing left. I'm just imagining Vision after he got killed by Thanos. He was just gray. So after the appointment, Minho honestly asked her, have you considered abortion? And she said it is something that she considered, but it's not something that she wants to do. So then he's asking her long-term plans, like how long are you going to be in Korea? Wait, are you going to move back to the States? What nationality is the baby going to have? What kind of passport? He just had all these questions. You could tell everything was hitting him all at once. So with that, she said a few more weeks went by, and she actually hadn't heard from Minho at all. He wasn't responding to her anymore. She thought, after seeing the ultrasound confirming that there is indeed a little blip in there, she was like, yeah, it's happening. I think he's ghosting me. I don't think he wants any part of this. So she decided to confide in her coworkers. She said she couldn't focus on work, and it was noticeable to her coworkers. And one of the coworkers is one of the same friends that got them together in the first place. So she's explaining the situation, and they're like, wait, we didn't even know you guys were still seeing each other, let alone you're pregnant by him. Oh my god. And then after she explained the situation, they were like, okay, I can see why you're stressed, but I will talk to him because that does not sound like Minho. He would never just abandon his responsibilities like this. So later that night, Minho called Merida, and he apologized. He said he was just really busy at work. He would never abandon her. He knows she's alone and in another country. It's not like that. He said he has to be more mindful of the situation. It's not like they're just casually hooking up or anything. He needs to be more attentive because she's carrying their baby. He asked if he could see her that weekend and said, don't misunderstand the situation. I'm not abandoning you. So fast forward again to the weekend, and they're meeting up again for the first time in a while. So Minho was honest. He said, although I don't think I'm ready to be a father, and I think the best option would be to terminate, I'll leave it up to you because I've talked to my family and they're excited but also worried because you're a foreigner. And he says, I think you should meet my family. His family comprises of his parents and his grandmother. They're all still living in the same home together. Now this was a bit of a shock for Merida because she hadn't told her family or parents at all because that would just make the situation even more real than it was. She also knows that when her family finds out, they'd most likely want her to drop everything and move back home so she could be closer to her immediate family and they could help her get through raising a child. So Minho said if they're gonna raise a child, they should begin a formal relationship because at this point there were still no titles or anything. They were just a hookup that turned into a pregnancy. But now he said you should at least be my girlfriend, like we should at least start a formal dating relationship if we're gonna go through with this together. She agreed, and he also said I want you to meet my family tomorrow for dinner, and she thought that was a bit soon. Apparently he had already talked about it with his family and invited Merida without confirming with Merida that she'd be okay with it, but she said okay, yeah, this has to happen sooner or later, right? So as you can imagine, this dinner is quite awkward. But it went well. His family mostly prioritized the baby. They said, given your situation, you guys need to work this out, but we want what's best for this kid. They even went so far as to encourage Minho to propose because they said if you guys are married, that'll make the baby's situation more stable, and we want you guys to stay in Korea. We don't want you to take the baby back to America. With that, the discussion of marriage, Merida felt overwhelmed and she's like, okay, I have to tell my family about this. So when she told her family, they were excited. They were like, oh my God, congratulations. We can't wait to meet your boyfriend. They asked when she was coming home, when she and her man and the baby were moving back to the States because they just assumed that's what the next step was gonna be. So after both families were made aware of this, first it was the dinner and that went well. She called her family, that went well. Now it's just her and Minho talking about this, and Minho decided to ask her how she honestly felt about him. Not, you know, the situation of them raising a kid, but like how she felt about him. She said she was pleasantly surprised at how he was stepping up in the situation. He was a really good guy. She could tell he was trying to be supportive and that he really cared and he didn't want to just abandon his responsibilities like a lot of guys tend to do these days. And she said if this had to happen with anybody, she was happy it was happening with him. And he said something along the same lines. He said that she was way better than his ex. He said she's a great girl, she's beautiful, she's interesting, and she's really sweet. So, you know, as they're sitting there talking about what do you like about me and what do you think of me as a person, and they realize they do have this mutual interest and connection to each other, they had sex again. I mean, you might as well. It's not like she can get re-pregnant or pregnant again or extra pregnant.
One more time. One more time.
So as the months continue to roll by, she's showing more, which means she can't really do as much. So she actually had to quit her job as an English teacher. And to help make up for that financial deficit, her family has been sending her money home, so not everything is on Minho. She said as the time goes on, she feels like he's stepping up more and he's prepared to be a dad, but also there are times where he's pretty absent and he makes himself a bit more distant. One of the sweet things that happened before she was too far along, they finally decided to take a trip to the States so that the fam could meet the boyfriends and they could see the situation. One thing that was really sweet, the reason he said he was waiting to propose is because he wanted to get her family's blessing. He wanted to make sure they were absolutely okay with this. So while they were there, he asked her dad if it would be okay to propose to his daughter. And he said, absolutely, like I expect you to take care of my girl. So with their blessing, they all went out to dinner in the States and he proposed in front of her family at dinner and she said yes, and it became this great cute moment. So where things are now, as of getting this email, she's still pregnant. She said everything's going really well. Again, she said there are moments where he's more distant, he's a bit cold, like he doesn't want this, but he always comes back and she can tell that he's trying and it's an adjustment. But yeah, she said it's definitely true what they say that women tend to mature more quickly than guys do, because as soon as they got engaged, she was on board and recognized she was about to be a mom and there had to be some changes made in her life. And she said Minho kind of comes and goes. There are days where he's there and he's like, do you need anything? I'm going to the store. Are you feeling sick? Even like trying to think of baby names already and picking out cute baby clothes and stuff and thinking about what nationality would be best for the kid, because he says like the Korean passport is such a strong passport. It's like the third strongest in the world. But he also recognizes that, you know, having an American citizenship might lend, you know, she'll be mixed heritage. That might be a little bit more normal with her having American citizenship. But apparently she said they have until the kid turns 18 to decide which nationality they want the kid to have, because they have one American parent and one Korean parent. But yeah guys, that is the story for now. She says she'll let us know how things goes when she gives birth, but she wanted to leave y'all with this little nugget to always use protection. She said she was watching the last few videos where we were talking about, oh, I don't need a condom, I can just pull it out, like why do you think I need a condom? This is exactly why you do need a condom. She's about to have a pull-out baby. So yeah, she said things for her worked out, but oftentimes that's not the situation where a hookup or one night stand or something, or even a relationship leads to a pregnancy and then it ends to the end of the relationship because a child is a lot. Not everybody can handle it. She's been lucky. Minho's been great. His family's been really accepting, which she was not expecting, because to her, she's like, I'm just this foreigner that your son got knocked up. But they're really welcoming to her. Thank you, Merida, for sending this story. I cannot believe. I've always wondered, like, what would happen if a foreigner got pregnant in Korea? Benefits and all that stuff. And I know a lot of that is changing a lot, like, rapidly these days because there's a birthing crisis going on over there. Wonder if the kid's gonna have dual citizenship, if they're gonna be Korean, if they're gonna be American. She doesn't know where she wants to give birth yet. Her family kind of feels like she should go to the States to give birth since the kid is probably going to be raised in Korea. They want something, you know, they want to be there, you know, like they can't all afford to fly out to Korea to see this happen. So they've got some decisions to make. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. Yo, there's been an update. I'm so sorry for the delay and the wait, guys.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
I can explain. I was sick as fuck for like a whole day. I'm all better now. It was literally like a 24-hour bug or something, but I do have these coughing fits. I randomly just start choking and coughing uncontrollably, and it's definitely fucking with my vocals, so if I sound ugly, I do apologize. My apologies. My most sincerest apologies, truly. Also, I was in Italy and we got back last night, and I also got an email yesterday because she had the baby, so we got an update. What am I doing? If you don't remember who Merida and Minho is, I suggest you rewatch this video and get caught up so you know what the fuck I'm talking about in this video. So as always, please watch this video until the end. Drive up the engagement, leave a comment that says for the like, for the watch, for the algo. Thank you to my channel members. Binge my videos, they're all in playlists, they're put together conveniently for you. Also, if you have a story you want me to share, please email me at ccelesson3@yahoo.com. They've been getting a little slow lately. I do have one more that's gonna come out on Monday, so fret not, there will be an upload next week. I just can't wait till I'm back in Korea in January. I'll have a whole lot more content for y'all. So, quick question of the day. What is the age gap between oh shit. What is the age gap between you and your ultimate bias? For me, for example, it's 1 year, well, a little over a year. Me and Namjoon, what, like 15 or 17 months older than him? Who out there trying to be Nunas? Y'all looking for y'all opars? I wanted to ask this because the other day I was on Instagram and I saw a post about Jungkook and it was the 3D promotions and stuff. That was the question in the caption asking people's age gaps, and some people were like, oh, he's 15 years older than me, and I'm like, wait, what? And there were also people like, he could be my grandchild. So I'm just curious.
So if you're ready, and if you let me.
So yes, like I said, Merida had the baby. She said she actually had it a few weeks ago, but as you can imagine, she's had a lot going on, so she is getting to us now, which I gotta say, thank you, Merida. I was not expecting any sort of update at all. I'm gonna be looking down, referring to my notes. So this is what she said first. She wanted me to read this, like, quoted from her. She said, OMG, I was not expecting my story to blow up the way it did. Y'all make me want to start my own channel to show what it's been like as a new parent in a different country, but I don't want to edit. I'm not a people person. I'm too damn busy. I'm rude, and I'll probably get my ass canceled before I even start. Look, everybody who wants to make a YouTube channel, I have always said just do it. All of my friends, I keep telling, yo, make a channel. You can start off with your phone if you don't have a camera. Editing's not that bad. It's actually kind of fun. Like, y'all see I go ham with these edits. It's fun. I say, do it! I'm sure a lot of people will watch. I will definitely tune in to watch. So let me know if you do make your videos, if you do go live, start a channel, because I will be your first subscriber. So anyway, we last left off with Merida as she's preparing for motherhood. By the way, she also told me she's 24. A lot of you guys were asking how old she is. I just knew she was young. She didn't tell me too many specifics about who she was, but she's 24. Her boyfriend's 26. The fiance, baby daddy, Minho, is slowly coming to terms with the fact that he's about to be a dad and how much their life's about to change. So you'll remember they weren't sure where to have the baby. They weren't sure, like, oh, my American family also wants to be there, and he's like, but my Korean family wants to be here. So they were trying to decide where they should have the baby. And one interesting thing that ended up happening before, you know, D-Day, before the baby came, Minho decided to take a trip with his boys to the Philippines. And Merida at the time thought it was probably, you know, a good idea to get out with the boys. It'll be one of the last times you can before you have a whole child in the world. So go out, have your fun with your friends, and come back and get it out of your system. She said he went for a few days, and at first, like right after the trip, he was very different. You know, he was gushing about how much he missed her, rubbing her belly all the time. He was just very affectionate in that way. And after a few days, he was kind of back to his old self where He would go from, do you need anything? Are you comfortable? We should talk about baby names and looking at schools and everything, to sometimes even just sleeping in a different room from her. And it was just a lot of hot and cold with him. And this started to worry Merida because as the due date is quickly approaching, she's realizing, like, I don't know if he's capable of understanding how much our lives are about to change. Like, is he gonna be ready for this? Is he gonna be ready to commit and understand and adjust? So one sweet day, while Minho's mom was checking in on Merida, she confided in her and let out everything that I just told y'all. And Minho's mom said that she also noticed that he seemed to not be taking this as seriously as he should be. So she said, you know what, I'm gonna talk to my son. She said she wanted to explain to him all the sacrifices that a woman makes with her body, her health, both mental, physical, emotional. And she said even though it takes two people to create a life, the burden and the expectations are always more for a woman. And she wanted to make sure her son understood that so he could be supportive where he needs to be. So after this talk, Minho went to go talk to Merida and asked, hey, did you talk to my mom? Like, did you tell her to talk to me? And she could tell that he was upset by this. And she's like, I didn't tell her to talk to you. I was just venting how I feel. You know, it's the same thing I've told you, but you don't seem to want to hear it. So I just needed to get it out to somebody. Remember, I am in this country by myself. You and your family are my family right now. And then he said, this is a little hard to read, but he said that he was sorry and they did have a bit of a fight, but it was her and his family who insisted on having his baby, whereas he wanted to get an abortion. He said, this is what you and my family wanted. It'll take me time to come around, but we're here because of your wishes. Ouch. So like I said, there's a lot of hot and cold going on right now. So sometime later, Minho's mom decided to put together, like, I don't know if they do baby showers in Korea, but it sounds like a baby shower, but she said it was a party to celebrate their engagement and to provide things for the baby, just to celebrate their relationship and get everybody together. It was at this party where his family kept asking about marriage, like pressuring them, encouraging them, guys, everything that you're about to go through would be so much easier if you guys were married. But naturally, Merida's like 8 months along. She doesn't want to get pregnant being this big. What? Merida's like 8 months along. She doesn't want to get pregnant being this big.
What do you mean?
She doesn't want to get married being this big. They're like, look, we have just met. Like, this is a lot. We're still getting used to. We don't want to rush everything in our relationship. Like, yeah, we're having this baby and we're trying to step up and do what's right.
We've seen a lot of people raw dog it with no gloves or no protection, and it's not good.
But don't make us rush into a marriage as well. So they're at least on the same page about that. But then they're like, oh, you know, you don't have to have the ceremony now. At least be married on paper. It'll just make everything so much easier. That way, you know, you have to register the baby and all that stuff in Korea. And then they could have a ceremony later when Merida's family could be involved. They could have one in the States and in Korea. All that could come later. It was also at this party where Minho's dad suggested that Merida move in with all of them. Because again, she stopped teaching, so she knew her housing, she was gonna have to give up her apartment soon. And I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last video, but just in case I didn't, Merida's family was sending her money to Korea to like keep her afloat while she was resting and taking things easy because she was, you know, becoming very pregnant. So Minho's also been working more hours. This is a time where Merida says she's starting to feel really lonely because as she's getting bigger, it's like, okay, obviously by default, I am not going to America to give birth. Like, I'm quite pregnant. I don't want to be flying like this. So I'm going to be here giving birth. I miss my family. My man's working. My man's family wants us to move in. I'm not doing that. They're rushing a marriage. So luckily, her mom was able to fly out to Korea for a month, but unfortunately her dad couldn't come. Her siblings couldn't come. Grandparents couldn't come. So her mom said, I'll come with you for a month. I'll get an Airbnb. Me and you can chill. We can vibe. You can enjoy my company. I can help get you through this because, you know, she had kids. She knows what it's like. And you can get some time away from Minho and his family if you need it. I imagine it must be really nice to have your mom with you in a new country and just so you can feel like the baby again. You know, everybody, there's been all this preparation for your baby that you're having, but you know, you're still somebody's baby. And one thing that she did say that was funny, she said there was this awkward moment where Minho thought her mom was making a dirty joke and her mom was like, boy, what'd you say to me?
Chen, you have a big nose. Yeah, I do. I have a pretty big nose, don't I? You know what else is big?
I like big noses because, well, because you can kind of like, sit on them.
Now one day after Merida's mom got to Korea, she wanted to take Minho out for dinner so they could just talk one-on-one so she can vet him fully. What are your intentions with my daughter? Now, of course, Merida was not there, so all she has is the account from her mom and her man.
And my man, thank you to my man.
And based on what they tell her, stories seem pretty similar, that it was a good, productive conversation. Where Merida's mom just really wanted to make sure that Minho understands, look, my daughter is in your hands. She's away from her family, so if there's an emergency, we can't get to her. It'll take us at least a day. Having a kid is, you know, you gotta be a good partner, you gotta be supportive. Just hope that you're ready and please take care of my daughter. And how important it is for a man to step up and take care of his kid, because these days, sadly, the bar is low and that's not a given anymore. So, Minho, according to the mom and Minho himself, said that he will protect her and he will protect his family, which now includes this baby that's coming and his fiance Merida. He says, I love her, I will take care of her, you don't have to worry. So, Merida was minding her business one day. This was a good talk, good time. She has her mom with her. She's feeling, you know, I got my mommy, baby girl mode. And without getting too graphic, the water broke and she realized, holy shit, I'm going into labor. Now, unfortunately, the moment that it did happen, Minho was at work. But luckily, she has her two moms. She has her American mom and her Korean mom, and they knew what this meant, so they rushed her to the hospital. She says she was in labor for just under 48 hours. She said there were some complications, but the baby is healthy. She did say that she wants to keep the gender a secret in case she does decide to go public and make her own YouTube channel, which I totally understand. So that'll give you guys like a reason to go click and tune in over there if she does, which, girl, I hope you do make your YouTube channel because I'm gonna watch, I'm nosy. But one thing that she said was so cute is the moment that Minho held their baby, she saw it. She saw this change where he was crying. He apologized to Merida and looking at his baby, apologizing for ever suggesting that the baby be aborted. She said he was obsessed, like he just kept staring at their baby and smiling, and he was emotional. She said she could see fully that he understood at this moment he is a dad. So again, she had the baby a few weeks ago, so this is a bit old. The mom unfortunately had to go back to the States now, and she said ever since her mom left, she's been feeling really lonely, experiencing a bit of postpartum. She's insecure about her body because she wants to get back into shape, and she says she really misses America and she can't wait for their baby to be old enough so they can travel back. On the positive side, she did say that Minho is a completely different person. She said she feels a little guilty because he doesn't spend a lot of time outside of the house. Like, he works and comes home. He doesn't hang out with his friends anymore, which she understands and respects, but she says she can't help but feel guilty. Her main issue and critique with him is that, unfortunately, he's not too active with like diaper changes and bathing the baby and feeding the baby, you know, especially in the middle of the night when the baby wakes up, because he says, I work all the time and you're the mom, so that's your job.
What do you mean by that?
Which she said, like, look, it's 2023, that's not how things go no more. And she said she can't do it all by herself and she really needs his help. And she said when she gives him like a little lecture, he steps up, but it does kind of gradually go back into him being like, that's your job, woman. I just want to say, Merida, fucking congratulations on having a healthy baby. I can't wait to find, I think it's a girl. I'm just guessing. I can only imagine how busy you are raising a baby, a newborn baby, and you still took the time to sit down and fucking email me. That is amazing. And I'm just saying this, I'm putting this out there, please start a YouTube channel. I think everyone, if they're still watching this video, especially at the end of this video, I think we'll all be watching. I gotta keep this short because my voice is kind of going in and out and I'm coughing. We all want to follow your journey. I hope you guys stay healthy. I hope you and your fiance grow stable and secure and happy. Thank you so much. Binge my videos, that's about to come up on the end screen. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong!